history, blaming him for inflation to the wars in Gaza and Ukraine. Biden needed a strong performance. He likely failed at that.
Recapping the top story, President Cyril Ramaphosa has lashed out at the Democratic Alliance, saying he believes the party has jeopardized the foundation of setting up the government of national unity. Ramaphosa made the comments in a letter penned to the DA leader John Steenhuisen, dated the 25th of June 2024. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
A very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, it's cricket action. India, they crush England to set up a T20 World Cup final with South Africa. And in soccer news, Marumo Gallants are back in the DStv Premiership after purchasing Morocco Swallows status. Let's find out more just before 6:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. If you're on your way from Durban through to Maritzburg, just watch for a crash. It's near the BP Oasis Services N3 Cato Ridge area. That is on the westbound carriageway. Watch for some slowing traffic approaching that scene. We're looking okay across Gauteng. Highways and byways are flowing nicely at this early hour. Big crash out at Mpumalanga, blocking a section of the N4 in the Crocodile Gorge. Westbound is closed. One lane open, or the one carriageway eastbound with a contraflow, so there may be some delays there. And it looks quite a lot of truck congestion between Hector Spruit and the Komati Port and Lebombo border. If you're going to or from Mozambique territory, that looks pretty heavily congested this morning. Keep an eye on that one for you. Coming out of Cape Town's Mitchell's Plain, it's already very busy. AZ Berman queuing up through the roadworks towards the R300 Highlands Drive, coming into that traffic. Also just backlogging, leaving that section of Mitchell's Plain as well. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
SAFM Sunrise. A vivid start to your day.
8 minutes after 6. Good morning. Welcome to SAFM Sunrise. Friday morning. I'm Stephen Grootes. Now, you may be waking up this morning and asking yourself, do we have a cabinet? Do we have a government? Well, we don't have a government. What do we have instead? Well, instead, we have the Youth Month takeover, and Tsegofatso Makola joining you for the next 3 hours. She's with me here. Tsegofatso, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm very well. How are you?
What? You ever started a Friday morning like this before?
No, definitely not.
I don't recommend it.
I've never been up this early.
So you've done a little bit of radio. You're interested in the world. You're looking at politics, international relations in particular. Are there particular things? I mean, I think everybody knows this. I love radio. I love talk radio. I love talking to people. I love listening to people. What do you like about it?
I think we both have that same thing in common. I grew up listening to radio. I think talk radio was a huge integral part of my life growing up. Going to school in the morning, we had to listen to the radio, and talk radio was definitely on.
Please don't tell me you grew up listening to me. You'll ruin my day. That expression.
I definitely won't say anything. But yeah, I don't want to give away my age, and I definitely don't want to give away yours. But yes,
wow,
I did grow up listening to you, Stephen.
It's going to be quite a fun morning, I think. A lot going on at the moment. So no cabinet overnight. Everyone's talking about these letters from the president to John Steenhuisen and the DA to the president. I mean, the tone of the president's letter is quite something.
Yeah, it was definitely giving kind regards. Really giving kind regards. And I think if I received a letter like that, I would be quite shaken.
I mean, some of the phrases he says, so President Ramaphosa, as leader of the ANC, to John Steenhuisen, says the letter from Helen Zille was offensive, condescending, and unconstitutional. I mean, that's aggressive phrasing, isn't it?
It definitely is. Very passive-aggressive as well, but I think the message was well delivered.
The other big story this morning, and this is something we've tackled before, we had a mediated conversation about it. It comes from former President Thabo Mbeki about a national dialogue or a national convention. Some people call it a Gadesa 2 from the period of the transition. I don't think we could call it that. But the idea basically is that everyone comes together. I mean, I think there might be some problems with that, but I can see why people want to do it. It's quite an interesting conversation to have.
No, most definitely. But I think a huge consensus among a lot of the public is the fact that it's all good and well to talk, but at the end of the day, we still want some sort of solution, want action to take place. And I think, we'll see what actually takes place, whether we'll actually have something, that we as people will benefit from the discussions that were held.
And then Zizi Kodwe going to be an MP in Parliament. I mean, a lot of controversy around that. People very frustrated. We heard from the ANC Veterans League this week, Dr. Snooki Sikalala. He was very cross about it. That story's still brewing, I think. I don't think we finished with the Zizi Kodwe story yet.
We're definitely not finished with it, and I think it's going to be quite interesting, especially as we await the talks of Cabinet and the announcement of Cabinet to see whether he'll still be included within Cabinet. There's
been an interesting set of conversations around water in the last little while, and I know you don't live in Joburg, I don't think. Where I live, we've had some water issues recently. We did earlier in the year as well. There's a lot of maintenance that Rand Water's doing. Some of the reservoirs are out, Yeovil's out, Crown Gardens, Linden's got major problems, Aikenhof, Randburg, all of those areas. It's the kind of thing that ruins your weekend.
Most definitely, and I think when it comes to water issues, this is something that's been ongoing for a very long time, even prior to maintenance concerns. But I think if we look at the silver lining of things, the fact that maintenance is being done, I think that's something to look forward to at least.
When I was growing up, also listening to this radio station, but not to me, I found it really interesting to sort of listen to what was being said. A lot of it was very censored at the time, it was a very different time. But there was a sense of hope as well as we moved into the 90s. And I look at the sort of South Africa, my generation, is kind of leaving for your generation, if I can call it that. And I kind of look at it with a sense of sadness, actually, because I don't think we've done what we should have done. And I look at the coalition discussions, which seem to be going nowhere, as you love that, kind regards. I mean, I don't know if you have a sense of things of, going to get better, a sense of frustration. Yesterday at the discussion around a national dialogue, and Kosinati Biko, the son of Steve Biko, spoke of a sense of despair. I'm sure you come across that too.
Yeah, most definitely. But I think it's quite difficult to stay in that state of despair. Life still goes on, right? And we as a country also need to move forward. And so we kind of just have to monitor how things go, and we can't stay in the state of despair. Hopefully we don't stay in the state of despair.
Are there principles? I mean, you look at politics and you look at international relations, and we'll talk about the American debate in a moment, and maybe the despair will return. But there's a sort of sense of, I don't know what the principles are. People look back at the 90s and think it was simple. It really wasn't. It was very scary, and I was a very young person at the time. Are there things that you think people should be paying attention to now? If we get this right, if we think in this way, if we align ourselves like that, things would change?
I think it's looking at what's actually happening on the ground. I think there's been a lot of tone deafness overall with a lot of people, not just our politicians. I think we often like to point fingers at our politicians, but I think we as the people ourselves are very tone deaf in terms of what's actually taking place within the country. And I think it's only now, since we've just gotten, I think tomorrow will mark a month since we all voted. I think over these past couple of days, we've already seen the realities of how important our vote was and the types of decisions that will be taken going forward with our votes. So I think ensuring that we're not tone deaf to the issues that really affect not just ourselves but everybody around us, that's something that we should be doing going forward.
I mean, to just illustrate your point, there's this an astonishing story again coming out about hunger in the Eastern Cape, and we'll talk later to the Human Rights Commission. They want to go to court to force government to declare a state of emergency, and yet hunger was not an issue on the campaign at all.
And something interesting as well is the South African Human Rights Commission, it's not the first time that they're mentioning hunger within the Eastern Cape. They also mentioned this in 2022 and 2023, listing this as one of the concerns that they have within the Eastern Cape. So the fact that it's being brought up once again, and as you're saying, the fact that it wasn't mentioned by any political party when it comes to the manifestos at all, it is quite concerning as well.
Teko Fatsumakola with us all the way through until 9 o'clock. You know the number, 086 000 2032. Your SMS 41391. You tweet SFM Radio and at Stephen Grootes. Nice to have you along with us this Friday morning, just gone 6:15.
The Daily News Diary on SAFM.
And Musa, you don't just get me this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning to Tsechofatso as well.
Good morning to you.
Are you doing well?
I'm doing well on this Friday morning. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
What's coming up today? Obviously, everyone's reading letters this morning. I thought we'd stopped reading letters.
You know, Stephen, it's all over. The leaks are just incredible, and that is our focus, political analysis on the letter by the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa to the DA leader John Steenhuisen, and accusing him of shifting goalposts in negotiations over the cabinet positions. And in that letter, Ramaphosa saying that the DA has also been disruptive and uncooperative in the government of national unity negotiations, unlike other parties. And we are today expecting the ANC to give an update on the negotiations with other political parties, as well as for the DA, likely some communication on the outcome of the FedEx meeting that was held last night. And it's believed that an ultimatum was given, for the DA to accept the offer of the 6 ministries, which include the trade and industry. In other news, we're looking at the national head for the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, Lieutenant General Godfrey Libya, and his management will be holding a briefing today, and it is to outline progress and take stock of the milestones achieved during the fourth and last quarter of the financial year 2023 and 2024.
I'm sure he'll get more questions about Phala Phala. Doesn't he always get questions about Phala Phala at these things?
It does. Are we going to get answers on it?
No, don't ask us questions we don't know.
The national initiation endeavour that was organised by the CRL Rights Commission wraps up its 3-day meeting that was taking place in Boksburg, and there's been concerns about boys being abducted and taken to initiation schools. And lastly, the Maluti Apafung community members, as well as business community and other stakeholders, are expected to march over poor service delivery, and they are saying that they are not satisfied with the quality of services that the municipality renders to the community.
Musa, thank you very much indeed. We'll be listening on the radio, both of us, 17 minutes after 6.
Stephen Grootes on SAFM.
Let's look at your weather around the country this morning. Tshwane fine becoming partly cloudy, 6 and 20. Johannesburg fine becoming partly cloudy, 3 and 18. Vereeniging fine becoming partly cloudy, 4 and 18. Bombela cloudy, morning fog patches becoming partly cloudy later, 11 and 21. Polokwane cloudy becoming partly cloudy in the afternoon, 8 and 20. Mahakeng partly cloudy, 7 and 19. Vryburg partly cloudy, isolated thundershowers, 3 and 20. Mangaung partly cloudy, 2 and 18. Kimberley partly cloudy, 2 and 20. Uppington partly cloudy and windy, 11 and 22. Cape Town fine, a light to moderate northerly wind, 18 and 26. George fine, a light and variable wind, the temperatures 12 and 27. Gqeberha fine, a moderate easterly wind, 7 and 25. East London fine, a moderate easterly wind, 13 and 25. eThekwini fine, a light northwesterly wind, 15 and 22. Richards Bay fine, a light northwesterly wind at first, otherwise moderate to fresh northeasterly, 14 and 24. And Pietermaritzburg fine, morning fog patches, 9 and 24.
Hello, Your Choice Hotline.
Hi, I need you to help me make a choice.
Well, with Ford, you get to make your own choices. Like on brand new Ford Ranger XL, XLT or Wildtrak Supercabs from only $7,999 per month with no deposit needed. There's a flexible deal for every Supercab at your nearest Ford dealership today. Your Ford, your choice. T&Cs apply.
The reality is that 90% of South Africans don't save enough for retirement. This National Savings Month, why not be part of the 10% who do? Choose an interest rate of up to 12.6% after 60 months with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Anyone over 55 can open theirs via the Nedbank Money app in less than 2 minutes. Join the bank that's best for your savings goals. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Are you a youth entrepreneur looking to get funding? SEFA provides opportunities for entrepreneurs through the Youth Challenge Fund. Your success starts here. Visit www.sefa.org.za. Search YCF. SEFA is a registered credit provider. Terms and conditions apply.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
Well, 19 minutes after 6, the time in the US, the first presidential debate of this campaign between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump has just finished. The debate is seen as key to the campaign. As you know, there are incredible political divisions in the United States. Brooks Spector is an associate editor at Daily Maverick. Brooks, good morning. How was it?
Well, good morning, Stephen. I must say it was not a pleasant experience to watch. One commentator has already come up with the catch line for it: the old man versus the con man. It's no laughing matter, unfortunately. I watched the whole thing. I took copious notes, and I feel deeply disheartened by what I saw. People, you just give up. They're trying to track all the miscues, the lies, the misstatements by Donald Trump. And by the same token, you watch in sort of stunned horror at the way Joe Biden, the incumbent president, could not land a punch on Donald Trump that was effective and assured and cogent. I guess he had a cold. He had a cold or the flu, but he was diffident. He was hesitant, and it was not a salubrious experience. I needed a lot of coffee.
People before this suggested that actually Biden really needed a win from this. From what you say, he didn't get the win.
No, he did not get the win. Politics is obviously a moving train. There'll be another debate, and the Biden folks probably are happy that many Americans are on vacation. It's summer. Many Americans are out of school and not paying enough attention to politics, perhaps. And the one thing that I think is noteworthy as well is that Kamala Harris, the vice president, they really must send her out forcibly to make the case that the re-election of Joe Biden is crucial, lest you end up with Donald Trump. And so far, at least, that case is not being made as a result of this first debate anyway.
Now, Brooks, you're speaking about how there's going to be upcoming debates that are still going to take place. How important is that going to be for voters going forward when they actually get to the polls?
Well, it depends. The studies have proved that people watch a first debate, and then the numbers of people who watch the second or third, when there is such a thing, begins to tail off because opinions begin to harden, they begin to congeal or coalesce, and people make up their minds. The argument goes further that because of the political system in the U.S., it's really only 5-6 states where the balance of power is so close that they will determine effectively who will win this election. And within each state, there are only 6-7% of the people who are voters who have yet to make up their minds. In other words, we're talking about a couple 100,000 people, or perhaps 1 million people from the entirety that have in effect the final say. Unfortunately, because of the way the world is now, much of what people will see from this debate will be short social media clips. They will be self-serving efforts on social media to prove the point. But relatively fewer people will have stayed up to watch all of it, to listen to the commentary, to think about it, and read through all the comments in printed media. So this debate for Democrats has been it's been a real roadblock for their continued success. Let's put it that way.
And then going forward, in terms of the recent criminal case against Trump, do you have any indication of what type of implication that might have going forward? Do you think Biden might bring it up at a later stage?
Well, he should, and he can, and he could. But in this go-around, at least, it really didn't figure. And part of the problem, I guess, is that many people, not a majority maybe, but many people do not believe that this particular case, the one where Donald Trump was found guilty of a felony, is an important criminal exercise. Some of the others that deal with classified documents or attempts to change the vote totals, but those cases are not in front of the judge and the jury yet. And many Republicans, at least, think that the case in New York about the so-called hush money trial that he was convicted in, that this was a political put-on job, even if it was done without the involvement of the President, the Department of Justice, and so forth. So this particular case so far doesn't appear to have swayed an enormous volume of voters, no.
You made the point earlier about Kamala Harris, and I mean, she's been almost silent for the last 3 years. Can she really come out swinging now, make a name for herself, change the campaign?
Well, for their own self-protection, the Democrats are going to have to figure out how to recalculate that particular process, because she's younger. She has grabbed hold of the issue of women's reproductive rights with both hands. Bad metaphor, maybe, but and that's an issue along with immigration, along with price inflation. Those appear to be the motivating issues that most people seem to be paying attention to. They're going to have to figure out ways to put Kamala Harris in front of large numbers of audiences with the kind of effect that presumably she can deliver. Hopefully, for the Democrats, I guess, that there'll be a vice presidential candidates debate as well with whoever Donald Trump decides is his running mate, and that may give Kamala Harris some chance to shine as well. But this evening's debate really, I mean, people around the world were watching it, and I sort of shudder to think what they think of American democracy.
At least they have a cabinet. Brooke Spector, thank you very much indeed. Brooke Spector, thank you, Associate Editor at Daily Maverick. You with SAFM Sunrise. Tseko Fatsumakola along with us on the Youth Day Takeover this morning, coming up now to 27 minutes after 6.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we now know who we're playing against tomorrow.
Absolutely. A massive showdown in the making. Can't wait. And this is after India yesterday beat the defending champions England by 68 runs in Guyana to secure a T20 World Cup final clash with South Africa. Chasing 172 runs, England crumbled to 103 all out, with spinners Kuldeep Yadav and Aksa Patel taking 3 wickets each. Earlier, captain Rohit Sharma scored 57 and Surya Kumar Yadav added 47, propelling India to 171 for 7 despite rain delays. Now, both India and the Proteas remain undefeated in the tournament, setting the stage for an electrifying final tomorrow, starting at 4:30 in the afternoon. Let's go to soccer. Change is sweeping through the South African soccer landscape as Maruma Gallants make a return to the DStv Premiership with the acquisition of Morocco Swallows status. Gallants will now call Bloemfontein home. This historic shift means the end of Swallows as we know it, a team that fought through financial hardships as well as league relegations. On to cycling now. Tour de France favourite Tadej Pogacar revealed that he caught COVID-19 days before he prepared for this year's race, which starts tomorrow. The Slovenian, winner in 2020 and 2021, is regarded by most observers as the rider to beat after he won the Giro d'Italia last month, but he says he's ready to compete now at the Tour de France.
Cannot afford to do mistakes. The last two years, 2 editions, I did some mistakes, and it all you pay for the mistakes, and you can really fast lose the Tour de France. Physically, I think I'm ready to win it again, and then it's just about the mental part, the good luck, bad luck, and.
Moving on to tennis action, where Daria Kasatkina has reached the finals of the Eastbourne International for the second year in a row, following a comfortable 6-2, 6-2 victory over the home favourite Emma Raducanu. The 6th seed, she dealt with the blustery coastal conditions much better than her British opponent, and she will set up a meeting with the French Open semi-finalist Jasmine Paolini. And finally, boxing news. Interesting developments as well. Less than a month since defecting to Colin Nathan's hot box gym, South African junior bantamweight champion Phumelela, the Truth Kafu, and one of the most exciting boxers in the country today is excited as well about the prospect of fighting for a world title. Now, Kafu shocked the boxing community when he left his Taba boxing promotions in East London and trekked to Johannesburg to link up with Nathan's, told SABC Sport after his training session that something big is coming.
We've planned out the future and I'm quite happy with the future, and you've been saying I think I'm free to talk about it. We're waiting for the fight that's happening next week on the 7th of July. Uyoka is fighting Martinez. They're unifying for the WPA and IPF world titles. So I think one of them might vacate the title. So if the title is vacant, I'll go for a world title shot. So which means my next fight would be a world title shot. Or if that doesn't happen, we're probably gonna get a warm-up fight in August or September. Then probably go for an elimination at the end of the year.
That's a wrap of your Sport on Sunrise. We'll bring you more top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Zai, thanks very much indeed. Good morning. You with SFM leading the conversation. No cabinet yet, but Tsecho Fatso Makole here as part of our Youth Day takeover. Just gone 6:30.
Good morning. In the headlines, the Democratic Alliance met last night to determine if they will be accepting the ANC's latest offer. This is as the ANC has allegedly proposed 6 cabinet ministers to the DA, including the position of Trade and Industry. Police in the Eastern Cape have launched a manhunt for suspects following a shooting that claimed 3 lives in Motherwell, Gqeberha. And US President Joe Biden struggled in last night's first presidential debate, stumbling at times and losing his train of thoughts. He faced off against former President and Republican nominee Donald Trump in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Very good morning. If you drive out of the very busy Mid-Rand area, just watch for some delays on New Road. There's roadworks as you on-ramp to the M1 South. There's only one lane open, so there'll be a real sort of bottlenecking, filtering situation there. New Road, on-ramp to the M1 South. That's going to be really busy from this morning. Cross into Mpumalanga, big crash scene outside Mbombela Crocodile Gorge. Westbound is entirely blocked. Traffic flowing both sides on the eastbound carriageway. And a little bit further east than Mbombela, out towards Komati Port and Hector Spade, there's a really big backlog of truck traffic in that section of the N4 as well. So if you're going to or from the Bombo border crossing, just expect to get caught up in possible delays there. Crash on your way to Pietermaritzburg up by the BP Oasis services at Cato Ridge. And if you're coming out of Cape Town's Mitchell's Plain, it's busy this morning. AZ Berman through the My City construction area up towards the R300's Highlands Drive. Coming into AZ Berman, pretty heavily backed already as well. Very heavy traffic out of Mitchell's Plain for this time on a Friday morning. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The business update on SAFM.
Leng Lachela, good morning. How are you doing?
Morning, Stephen. I'm doing well, thanks. You know, it's my favorite day of the week.
What's happening on the markets?
It's the last day of trade for the first half and still no Fed rate cuts. We are seeing traders quite cautious over in Wall Street, those markets closing just above the flat line. As mentioned, traders seem to be taking a wait-and-see approach ahead of the US PCE figures. Over in Asia, markets are trading mostly higher following the broadly positive cues from Wall Street overnight. Traders on that end digesting comments from Fed officials, with one official saying that the central bank will definitely cut rates before the end of the year to prevent a bigger slowdown in the US. Back at home, sentiment pretty mixed, with investors digesting international factors as well as local political developments. The JSE All-Share closed 0.36% lower, with the Financial 15 taking the biggest knock, losing over 1%. We saw major banks trading in the red on the back of those political jitters as well. This has filtered through to the currency markets, the rand falling to a 1-month low, currently sitting at 18.50 against the dollar.
And what's happening with the popular clothing retailer H&M?
Well, Tsecho, H&M released a downbeat update. The world's second largest listed fashion retailer expects profits to dip. The group says that sales in June were likely to fall 6% in local currencies versus a year earlier. This was due to poor weather conditions in many parts of its markets. It is also dealing with a consumer that is overstretched and has less disposable income. The industry also faces tough competition with H&M having to compete with the likes of Inditex's Zara and Shein in the European market. Company CEO, in the meantime, Daniel Erver, said that external factors that influence its purchasing costs and sales revenues, including materials and foreign currency, will have a more negative impact than the company had initially expected in the second half. Analysts and markets were disappointed by this update, with some analysts saying this forces them to cut their full-year estimates for H&M's earnings moving forward. The group share price also tanked on the back of this move, closing down nearly 13% in the red.
And then FirstRand forecasting a jump in annual earnings.
Well, while fashion retailer H&M struggles, local banking counter FirstRand expects a rise in profits. Stephen, in an update, the lender said it expects full-year earnings to rise by up to 5%. It's pointed to a stronger underlying performance than anticipated in the second half of its financial year. We saw net interest income growth, while advances and deposits growth remained resilient. Banks have generally been benefiting from higher interest rates, but these rates have actually had a double-edged sword impact on results, boosting earnings, yes, but resulting in higher credit impairments as consumers struggle to pay down their debts. Despite forecasting a rise in earnings, the group's share price slipped close to 2% in yesterday's close, with some analysts saying the update is nothing to shout about, saying traders could be more concerned about its UK motor vehicle financing unit, which underperformed.
Ntale Nglatshela, thanks very much indeed. Back, of course, in an hour, more business news through the day here on SAFM, 24 minutes to 7.
Africa Update on SAFM Sunrise, a continental overview of current African affairs.
Russ Advocate Sipho Mantula, good morning.
Refreshing morning and Jumbo Africa to the listeners.
We saw William Ruto's climb down in Kenya, but still more protests yesterday.
Stephen, there were still more protests yesterday. As we know that yesterday they have said that it was a peaceful march, but what we saw is that the government is still struggling to have a national dialogue with some of these young people and some of the human rights activists. There was a spark also yesterday, Stephen, as you know, even if there was closing of the parliamentary route, but yesterday we are sitting with 22 people who have been killed so far since the protest in Kenya around the tax hikes, as well as they are saying they don't trust the President Ruto, and others are calling now for his resignation. Beyond the issue of the controversial finance bill, they are also calling for President Ruto to resign. Those are the challenges in East Africa. Despite AU, we saw also the U.S. Secretary Anthony Blinken thanking Ruto for attempting to reduce this tension.
And in Mauritania, we know that the president has promised to accelerate investments to spur an energy and mining boom. Can you tell us more about that?
So morning once more. If you look at Mauritania decides tomorrow, it's an election in Mauritania where the current AU chairperson Mohamed Ghazouani is promising that he will make some changes. There are other 4 candidates who are also contesting for these elections in Mauritania, and we will wait and see what will happen. Like I said, Mauritania is only 2 million registered voters that we are expected to vote tomorrow. Issues of mineral wealth and tackling corruption are on key on the manifestos.
And then ECOWAS in Nigeria, they're looking at a plan to create a standby force. They've got so many security issues there.
Even the military coups that have been in ECOWAS, we know the case study of Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, they've at least costed it, Stephen, that they need 2.6 billion annually that they can be able to tackle the issues of standby force and the peacekeeping efforts in the Sahel region. This was the first of its meeting of the defense chiefs in West Africa as they were meeting to deal with the challenges of the Sahel, as I said, Stephen, but also putting the figures on their peacekeeping mission.
And demonstrations as well taking place in Malawi. Can you tell us more?
Malawi are planning a demonstration next month on the 10th of July, but there are some what you can call difference from human rights activists. Others are saying the country is still mourning the death of the vice president and 8 others who died in the plane last month. But others are saying that the cost of living also challenges that are facing Malawians. That's what pushes them to go to the street. Major cities like Lilongwe, Blantyre, Mzuzu, Mangochi and Zumba are the places that have been targeted for this demonstration next month. As as we have said with our leading story, Kenya, it appears it has inspired many of the young people in the SADC region.
And Sipho, in our archives, this day, 28th of June 1995, 3 of our provinces were renamed. I've been racking my brains, and I can remember PWV. When we became a democracy, Gauteng was called PWV. I can remember that one. What were the other 2?
That is right, Stephen. PWV was Pretoria, Witwatersrand and the Vaal region, renamed Gauteng, meaning the place of gold. Remember, Orange Free State was named Free State. Northern Transvaal, which was called the Northern Province, was renamed Limpopo Province. Others might also go further, say Eastern Transvaal was renamed Mpumalanga. Asante sana SGS was leading the conversation, SAFM, observing the Youth Month.
Russ Advocate Sipho Mantula, thank you very much indeed. More news from our continent through the day here on SAFM, 20 minutes to 7.
For years, Outsurance has been saying they'll save you money on your car insurance, or you can ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand cash if they don't. Here's Fundi, 46 from Brackenfell.
I was not happy with what I was paying. I heard about the 500 Rand from Outsurance, but they give me lesser amount for my car. I'm paying 523 Rand on my 2013 Hyundai iX35.
So here's how it works. SMS out to 30754. We'll give you a no-obligation car insurance quote. If the quote is less than you're currently paying, you'll end up saving money on your car insurance every month. And if it's more than you're currently paying, you can ask for 500 Rand. And if you've been with the same insurer and claim free for 3 years or more, tell us you want 1,500 Rand.
Give Outsurance a call. It's a win-win, you can't lose.
SMS out to 30754 now. That's out to 30754. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and limits apply. Premiums are risk profile dependent and reviewed annually. Client comments do not constitute financial advice.
The Food Lovers Market experience is something special. Can you see that? It's rows of colourful fresh produce sourced just for you. Can you hear that? It's our blockmen preparing premium cuts just for you. Can you smell that? It's freshly baked bread from our bakery just for you. An experience brought to you by a friendly team ready to serve you. Food Lovers Market. It's in the experience.
And we will buy 500 cars and we will buy 500 more. Just to be the one who buys your car. We'll come to you and offer more. We buy cars. We buy cars. We buy cars. We buy cars.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
Big stories of the day. #SAFM Sunrise.
Morning with SAFM, you know the number 086002032, 18 minutes to 7 the time. Tshepo Fatso with us as well as part of our Youth Month takeover here on SAFM this morning. You'll hear more, of course, people taking over, thanks Tshepo Fatso, through the day as we go here on SAFM. In the Eastern Cape, the SA Human Rights Commission says it believes national government must declare a state of emergency over hunger in that province because so many people do not have enough food. The Commission says if government doesn't deal with the problem, or doesn't actually declare a state of emergency, it may even go to court. The chair of the South African Human Rights Commission is Chris Nissen. Mr. Nissen, good morning and thank you for your time.
Good morning, Stephen, and good morning to Siddhartha. Thank you for inviting us.
Of course. Why do you believe this action is necessary? What's happening in the Eastern Cape that makes you think government must declare a state of disaster?
Well, you know, Stephen, not only in the Eastern Cape, but because we did an inquiry in the Eastern Cape, so we made certain recommendations to the government of the Eastern Cape to ask them to have a war room in which they bring all the government departments together so that they can then look at how best we can address the poverty issue and the issue of hunger and starvation in most parts of the Eastern Cape.
And, you know, you're speaking about how this is something that you have been raising. We know that you published a report all the way in 2022 about the very same issue, and again last year in 2023. Is it safe to say that not much has improved since then?
Well, thank you, Siddhartha. We remember the Premier responded after our report by putting up 60 million as a kind of immediate relief for families, etc. But you see, whilst we thank the Premier and thank them for that and thank civil society and non-profit organizations. We need to deal with the systemic nature of poverty and starvation and hunger, unemployment, and all of this in that province.
You talk perhaps about even going to court. A state of emergency, what intervention would you want to see? Would you want to see maybe, I don't know if we could do this, but maybe a special social grant in the Eastern Cape or regions in the Eastern Cape, or maybe government actually providing literally food to people? And I mean, we've seen the Eastern Cape as such a long-term problem with the with hunger. I mean, I don't know if we're at the point where we actually need to go into some of the more isolated communities and give people literally food.
Well, I guess there could be immediate or food and other grants maybe, but we need to deal with the systemic nature, and therefore the Commission is saying when they establish the war room and bring all the government departments together, they can then look at sustainable model of how do they tackle the issues of hunger. You'll find that the province has got a contradiction. For example, in the southern part of the province, there's a lot of farmers and there's a lot of land and all of those issues. So we need a plan. And yes, we have said our recommendations, we've made our recommendations. If we do not see an implementation of those recommendations, we will need to do whatever is in our power, even if it means litigation. However, we have asked for an urgent meeting. I've asked for an urgent meeting. My office is busy trying to get to an urgent meeting to meet with the Premier or his executive for us to discuss this matter and find a time frame, and we will monitor that time frame in terms of the implementation of our recommendations.
And you're talking about some of the solutions that, ought to be implemented. But I want us to look at the preventative measures. How do we prevent something like this from taking place in other provinces or escalating to the point where it's gotten to, or what it looks like specifically in the Eastern Cape? How do we prevent that happening in other provinces as well?
Yeah, you're correct, Khatso. It's not only in the Eastern Cape. In other parts, the Northern Cape, one professor told me about a few years ago, in the Northern Cape, the hunger and starvation, kwashiorkor and malnutrition that is there. So I think we need to have a political will. The preventive measures is political will to see, as these are our people in our community, what is it that we must do as government and the authority to implement when we are asked to do something, to say, this is what we said. Because during the elections, political parties came around and told the electorate what they're going to do about how to change people's lives. And now they're gone. So we want to hold them accountable by monitoring, getting engagement with them, sit down with them, and then say, what are the measures that you're now going to take in terms of our recommendations as being a preventive mechanism.
Chris Nissen, Chair of the South African Human Rights Commission, thank you very much indeed for your time here on SAFM. Do appreciate it. Such an important issue. Again, worth making the point, isn't it, that, again, it was not a big issue on the campaign trail. 13 minutes to 7.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
In Kululeko, good morning. You're on the line from Jazini. You're with myself and Tseho Fatso. Go for it.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Tseho.
Good morning.
Yes, I just want to talk about these letters between DA and the ANC. I just want to say it's a good thing that there are leaked documents so far. It's a good step in the right direction that we now know what is going on behind the closed doors. But what I would like to say is that since the ANC and the DA are not agreeing to be in the same page, I just want to know how are the other 8 parties are doing in this regard. So I just want to find out if it is possible that these 8 parties can leak their letters so that we can understand what is going on. Because this thing is now about the DA and the ANC, but there are 10 parties in that GNU. So and the other thing is that if DA is requesting these ministers and the ANC is offering such positions, I just want to know what other parties are being offered, because maybe we can sit here and argue, but the other parties, maybe the IFP has got some ministers that the DA wants, or the PA got some ministers or whatever. So we must understand the whole situation, because now it's Friday now. by Sunday we must have that cabinet so that we can start to move on. Yes, but this Sunday, man, we must have the cabinet. I think we must leak the other letters. The ISP must speak, the UTM, everybody must speak, PA must speak. They must leak their conversation so that we can understand. Because now, if it is DA and the ANC, it's like there are only two parties in that GNU. Thank you.
And Kuleleko, thank you. A fan of leaks. Me too. You were there, SFM, 11 minutes to 7.
SAFM. Guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Couple of major issues around Mpumalanga province. A big crash at Crocodile Gorge, closing the westbound, shoving all traffic onto the eastbound, so be careful out that side. A little bit further east, you've got a major backlog of truck congestion between Hector Strait and Komati Port. If you're around that area, expect some delays both directions. Also, truck overturning at Majuba Pass on the N11, Newcastle through the Folkcross likely to be delayed. And we're just getting reports of a big crash involving a truck. A lot of damage on this one, N3 South around the Escort side of KZN. So just watch for some delays on your way to Durban through that area. Bit of mist as well around the Emelafeni area of Mpumalanga. Drive carefully out that side, please. Gauteng, the M1 north towards William Mandela, just starting to backlog as you come up from the Randburg side. And Cape Town's Mitchell's Plain, very heavy this Friday. Big queues already. AZ Berman up to the R300 through the works. Highlands Drive coming into AZ Berman, quite heavily backed up as well. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading lens enhancements. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Book online or call your nearest store today. Specsavers for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
Are you ready to take your brand to a whole new level? Have you ever thought about how big companies use strong PR to get more people to know about their brands? Their Law Group presents the inaugural Building a Brand Through PR Masterclass. Join us on Wednesday, July 3rd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the DP World Wonders Stadium in Johannesburg. Learn from 12 industry experts as they share their case studies and personal testimonies that will transform your approach to brand building. Visit www.prmasterclass.co.za to get your tickets. Only 650 rands for an in-person experience, or join us virtually for just 350 rands. Don't miss this chance to master the art of PR and take your brand to the next level. Building a brand through PR Masterclass, powered by independent media.
Municipal services play a vital role in keeping our city safe, clean and functional. By paying for municipal services like your water bill, you're investing in the future of the city of Johannesburg's water supply. Paying for your services is not just a transaction, but a commitment to the sustainability of your community. Let's continue to pave the way for a brighter tomorrow, one payment at a time. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
Agenda setting conversations of the day.
8 minutes to 7. Good morning. In KwaZulu-Natal, the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs MEC, the IFP's Thulasizwe Buthelezi, has now introduced Cassius Lobisi and Mike Sutcliffe as the two governance experts to lead an intervention into the eThekwini Metro. Residents there have complained of poor service delivery for several years. The MEC is also the traditional Prime Minister to the Zulu Kingdom, joins us now. MEC Buthelezi, good morning to you, sir, and thank you for your time.
Good morning, Stephen, and all the listeners. Also, to all the listeners at home.
Currently, eThekwini doesn't have a mayor, and Mxolisi Kaunda went to the National Council of Provinces. It's being run by the deputy mayor who comes from the National Freedom Party. Is that why you're doing this now, introducing these two experts to the Metro?
Well, Stephen, there have been some red flags emanating from eThekwini for quite some time now, which caused the previous MEC of COGTA in April 2023 to come closer and intervene under Section 154. Unfortunately, that was not carried through last year, and when I arrived, the situation in eThekwini has in fact deteriorated, and I therefore decided to say, let us come in with this strategic support to through Section 154 to try and restore eThekwini to its former glory.
The timing is surely all about the politics. Now you are the cooperative governance MEC, Kunda has left. I mean, the timing helps you to do this.
It's not about the timing, Stephen, because if you look at the ratepayers of eThekwini, they are highly frustrated. If you look at the service delivery has ground to a halt, and many other indicators that show that eThekwini really needs this type of assistance. And therefore the Constitution enjoins me as the MEC for COGTA to play an oversight role over all municipalities in KZN, and that is what I've done in eThekwini.
You've started with Lubisi and Sutcliffe, and look, they're both experts in their field. Sutcliffe, I think, was the city manager there many years ago. Are you looking at a bigger intervention? Are you looking at some kind of, a more dramatic takeover? Under the law, there are different stages of intervention, different types of intervention you can mount. Are you looking at a position where maybe you would take the council into administration, take the metro into administration?
Well, there are various stages, and Section 154 is the first stage. And in my meeting with the Executive Committee of eThekwini yesterday, I implored them to cooperate with this stage, because if conditions do not improve, then naturally we would then move to Section 139, where some powers of the council would be assumed by an administrator. But both Dr. Sutcliffe and Dr. Lubisi come with a wealth of experience, and I do hope that it won't be necessary to move to the next stage.
MEC, if I can ask you, you're the Cooperative Governance MEC, you're from the IFP, you play a very important role in the IFP in KwaZulu-Natal. Yesterday, he's a colleague of yours in the provincial government, Siboniso Duma, he's also leader of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal. He said he believed that the government of provincial unity in the province, that's you as the IFP, the ANC, the DA, and the NFP, should also work together in local government. In other words, you'll take what you have in the province and do that in local government. Do you believe that should happen? Do you want to work with the ANC in local government, and that would mean in eThekwini too?
Well, I think the leadership of all parties will lead those discussions, and when the time is right, I think we will see what happens at the local government. But what is important is a governance arrangement which leads to stability and accelerated service delivery.
I'd be very interested in your own personal view, sir. I mean, you play an important role in KwaZulu-Natal. Do you think it would be a good idea? I mean, you've got what may be a government of national unity, provincial unity. The IFP is part of both of those things. Wouldn't it make sense to be in local government together too?
Well, as I said, Stephen, the roles we occupy, we are deployed by our respective parties. And I think Honorable Duma was indicating at a leadership level what would be their desire. And I think it's allowed the leadership to find themselves on the issue of government of local unity.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to force it to happen on SAFM. The negotiations happening in national government, you're obviously paying close attention to those. Are you worried that it's taking so long to form a national government?
Well, I think President Ramaphosa was very firm and incisive in the letter that he has written yesterday, and it is all our hope and view that the negotiations at a national level must come to some form of finality, but we are hopeful that it will happen.
Thank you very much indeed, MEC. The Reverend Thulasizwe Buthelezi from the IFP is the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs MEC in KwaZulu-Natal. 2 minutes now to 7.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Mbona on the line from Tata. Mbona, good morning. You with myself and Sekho Fatso. Go for it.
Good morning.
Morning. You want to talk about Joe Biden?
Yeah, I want to speak about Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu both should be charged for the genocide and the crime against humanity in Gaza.
You reckon they're both equally responsible?
Yes, because both are using the the hunger weapon which we are also facing here in Eastern Cape. And what is so fun here in Eastern Cape is, you see South Africa is exporting over 300 containers of food every day. And to find out the citizens are hungry.
Yeah. Look, we are a food exporting country. Mbona on the line from Mtata. It is really a conversation, I think, around food, around economics as well. Plenty more to come. We'll find out the latest on the coalition negotiations. We'll find out what's happening sort of deeper within them, and are the political parties under pressure from their internal constituencies. Don't forget, from 8:30, your story of the week. Really looking forward to that, actually. Good morning, you with myself. I'm Stephen Grootes. Tekofatso Makola, part of our Youth Month takeover. You with SFM, leading the conversation. It's Friday morning. Good morning. It's 7 o'clock. Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. SMS car to 43517 now.
In our top stories, DA to decide on ANC's latest offer in Government of National Unity talks, and Biden's performance in the US first presidential debate. Good morning. The Democratic Alliance met last night to determine if they will be accepting the ANC's latest offer. This is as the ANC has allegedly proposed 6 cabinet ministers to the DA, including the position of trade and industry. However, the ANC appears to have done a U-turn at the 11th hour by allegedly withdrawing the trade and industry offer. This is a move that has left a bitter taste with the DA. Sibahle Mota reports.
The Democratic Alliance is apparently unhappy with the withdrawal of the Department of Trade and Industry portfolio, which the ANC had offered along with 5 others, which include Home Affairs, Basic Education and Communication, amongst others. As it stands, it seems the fate of the DA participating in the Government of National Unity.
Meanwhile, President Cyril Ramaphosa has lashed out at the Democratic Alliance, saying that he believes the party has jeopardized the foundation of setting up the Government of National Unity. Ramaphosa made the comments in a letter penned to the DA leader John Steenhuisen, dated the 25th of June 2024. Sibahle Mota has more.
Ramaphosa has accused the DA of shifting the goalposts in its negotiations with the ANC. The ANC president says that he has been taken aback by how the DA now wants 2 more portfolios to bring the party's cabinet positions to 8. This is as the ANC has allegedly withdrawn its trade and industry portfolio to the DA. Ramaphosa says that the DA has been disruptive and uncooperative in its negotiations, unlike other parties. He adds that the ANC is unable to accede to the DA's latest demands, as it is continuously changing the interpretation of the statement of intent.
Police in the Eastern Cape have launched a manhunt for suspects following a shooting that claimed 3 lives in Madawal-Kabeja. It's alleged armed men fired several shots in Kosi Street, killing the deceased. Police are appealing to the public for any information surrounding the incident. The motive for the shooting is still unknown. Police spokesperson Sipokazi Mawisa.
The Eastern Cape Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nomtetele Limene, strongly condemns such appalling and lawless acts of violence. We wish to express our abhorrence for such blatant and reckless disregard for human life. Our dedicated investigators are currently on the ground, utilizing all available resources and intelligence to identify and apprehend those responsible.
Political analyst Immaculate Asige Liagas says Kenyans are aware that the withdrawal of the proposed finance bill by President William Ruto is incorrect. Ruto withdrew the proposed finance bill that sparked widespread protests in that country. At least 13 protesters were killed during the protests, and a section of parliament went up in flames as demonstrations against new tax proposals escalated on Tuesday. Liagas says all that the President can do is to refer the bill back to Parliament with corrections.
The President cannot withdraw the bill. The President can only accept the bill or refer it back to Parliament for reconsideration by Parliament, noting any reservation that the President has concerning the bill. And if the president does not bring the bill back to the parliament in 7 days, according to clause 6, if the president does not assent the bill or refer it back to parliament within the period, it will automatically assent on expiry of that period.
And finally, U.S. President Joe Biden struggled in last night's first presidential debate, stumbling at times and losing his train of thought. He faced off against former President and Republican nominee Donald Trump in Atlanta, Georgia. They tackled inflation and the rising cost of living, immigration and border security, among other issues. Some media outlets later cited sources that Biden was suffering from a cold. But as Sharon Bryce Peace reports, it was optically a bad night for his re-election.
The 81-year-old president struggled, sounding croaky and at times speaking unclearly and sometimes trailing off at the end of a thought. Trump, 3 years younger, seemed more comfortable in the CNN-hosted 90-minute debate, and given his edge in the polls, will expect some more momentum now after Biden's shaky performance. The incumbent, who last debated his opponent when they ran against each other 4 years ago in roles reversed, managed to land some soft blows, telling Trump he had the morals of an alley cat. But Trump labelled Biden the worst president in American history, blaming him for inflation to the wars in Gaza and Ukraine. Biden needed a strong performance. He likely failed at that.
Recapping the top story, the Democratic Alliance met last night to determine if they will be accepting the ANC's latest offer. This is as the ANC has allegedly proposed 6 cabinet ministers to the DA, including the position of Trade and Industry. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
And thank you. And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and R1 million liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. Get a quote today, SMS CAR to 43517. Do you know that with Outsurance Essential, valid claims are paid out in cash? Let me say that again. Outsurance Essential pays your car insurance claim in cash. That's cash paid into your bank account that you can use to repair your car at any panel beater of your choice. Outsurance Essential for cars older than 5 years, not financed and valued at under 125,000 Rand. SMS CAR to 43187 for a quote. That's CAR to 43187. SMS now. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
A very good morning to you. In your SFM sports headlines, it's cricket. The Proteas are preparing for their clash with India in the T20 World Cup final. And soccer news, Benny McCarthy is set to leave Manchester United. All these stories and more just before 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning, western side of Joburg 2, collision scene on Main Reef Road, Ridderport, Cresswell Park area. If you go between Ridderport and Joburg, just expect some delays. Traffic quite heavily backed up for this time on a Friday morning. A reminder, if you come out of the Mid-Rand, there's some lane restrictions for roadworks on the new road on-ramp to the N1 South, so that's likely to be really busy as you funnel into a single lane section. And the R21 already queuing into the roadworks at Clayville on your way to the airport. Durban, the N2 North, a breakdown before Spaghetti Junction, roadworks after the interchange. Traffic pressures underway from the M7. Bluff exit and AZ Berman coming out of Mitchell's Plain, going north towards the R300 and onto Stock Road. Heavy congestion this morning as you get caught up in the roadwork lane restrictions. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Lights. SAFM Sunrise. A vivid start to your day.
8 after 7, good morning, you're with SAFM Sunrise. I'm Stephen Grootes. God, listen to me, Makola. Come on, Stephen. With us this morning as well. How have you found the first hour?
I think it's been relatively good.
Yeah, moves quickly, eh?
It does move quickly, although it's been a bit calm. I think I've been eased into it quite well.
That's just because I'm do so nice, not because of me. All right, plenty to come over the next little while. We'll be talking more about the latest in the negotiations for a new government. We'll talk also, of course, about just the bigger conversation around the message that's being sent to the outside world with this delay. Now just over a week, so without a cabinet. Just to let you know, by the way, I'll be away next week and I'll be back the week after. So Monday, I think that's the 8th or so, I'll be back with you. Just taking a break after the elections and all the rest, and spending some time with the family. So really looking forward to it. Lots more to come. Don't forget, from 8:30 this morning, your story of the week. Maybe phone them do now. Book your spot on 086 000 20329 after 7.
Lights. Camera. Scalpel.
Every second counts, and every cut, every thought, every action is critical. Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
Durban is open for business and investment. A large delegation from the United States of America, including captains of industry, business, investors, finances, decision makers, and high-profile leaders will attend the 2024 Resurgence Durban Conference to explore and maximize investment opportunities in Durban. Be part of the Resurgence Durban Conference taking place at the Durban ICC from the 17th to the 21st of July 2024. Durban is forging ahead with its plan of action that is aimed at boosting trade and investments within South Africa, the African continent, and the rest of the world. Businesses must register now to exhibit at the conference. Closing date is the 30th of June 2024. To register for the Resurgence Durban Conference and for more information, visit www.resurgenceconference.org.
37-year-old Tebogo got a really great deal on his car insurance premium from Outsurance. He pays an amazing R762 per month to insure his white 2018 Ford Figo Ambiente. He now has extra cash every month to go out for a meal with his friends. Get an Outsurance quote today. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754 now. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
SAFM 104 to 107. Nationwide.
11 after 7, good morning. Well, over the last 24 hours, a set of letters between the ANC and the DA have emerged, which really appear to reveal what's happening in the negotiations between them to set up a coalition government. The ANC and the DA are the two biggest partners. In one letter, President Cyril Ramaphosa tells John Steenhuisen that he believes Helen Zille has been offensive, condescending, and unconstitutional. In other correspondence, it looks like the DA is accusing the ANC of reneging on previous offers for positions in cabinet. Meanwhile, overnight, being reported that the DA's Federal Council has agreed to continue negotiations with the ANC. We start your coverage this morning with the senior political reporter at SABC News, Samkele Maseko. Samkele, good morning.
A very good morning to you, Stephen, and to the listeners.
The tone of these letters would seem to show there's quite a lot of frustration between the ANC and the DA.
Indeed, Stephen, these letters show that there's quite a lot of frustration, particularly from the ANC side with the Democratic Alliance. Just to be very crude about it, the ANC is seemingly fed up with the Democratic Alliance continuously moving goalposts when it comes to cabinet positions that they want and deputy ministries that they want. And essentially the battle is all over the Department of Trade and Industry. But one wonders, how does the DA expect the ANC to give a trade and industry when the DA is against issues such as affirmative action, against broad-based black economic empowerment, which seek to change the economic landscape of the country in favor of those who are marginalized and the downtrodden.
Are they still talking? I mean, no one's broken off negotiations yet.
They are still talking because the resolution of the FedEx meeting of the DA yesterday evening virtually was to continue engagements with the ANC, not to close them off, to continue talking, but it was an inconsequential, essentially, FedEx meeting of the Democratic Alliance because there was no conclusive decision whether they are walking out or they are staying within the GNU. They just kicked the can downstream, usually like the ANC's National Executive Committee does, by saying, let's continue engaging. We'll see it in the next meeting.
There's a lot going on within all of this. I mean, I would presume there's quite a lot that's going to force these two parties to keep talking for a long time. They both have a lot to lose if this falls apart.
In most, Stephen, we can't say that the president has a lot to lose if this falls apart because the EFF is literally by the gate. It just wants the gate to be opened. They either want the remote to open the gate or they just want the keys to unlock the nut that has locked the gate for them to enter. You can see in Gauteng that the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC in Gauteng has been working with the EFF, and the EFF wants to continue working with the ANC nationally. And in Gauteng, you've seen the tweets from Julius Silo Malema about Nkenke Kekana saying that he is the negotiator and the originator of the government of national unity between the DA and the ANC. So Cyril Ramaphosa, if the DA walks away, does not have much to lose because he just needs one smaller party. He just needs to convince Action SA to join this particular GNU, and he's good and dry. He will have over 50% of the 400 members of parliament in the National Assembly. But other than that, even if he does not go with the DA, he still has the option of a minority government, because the EFF and the Democratic Alliance will not vote together, and the MK party, all three of them, in a vote of no confidence against President Ramaphosa, because the DA wants to avoid the so-called doomsday coalition of the ANC and the EFF and the MK party at all costs. So if they walk away, they would choose to be silent, and the ANC would have a minority government that they can easily work with in the National Assembly and have to run the government. So he does not have that much to lose. He is essentially being a gentleman about it, inviting everyone to come to the table to work together. But if you don't want to, you are free to walk away. Unlike if he was a politician who seemingly doesn't care about other people and basically just says, no, I'll work alone here, I can do a minority government. All of you can stay in your corners, I don't need you.
Samkele Maseko, thank you. SABC senior political reporter here. It's now gone 7:15 with SAFM. Professor Susan Boyson, the political analyst, listening to that. Professor Boyson, how do you see this? Does the ANC need the DA?
It would prefer to have it. Good morning, Stephen and Tsikhofato. It would really prefer to have them. I think we know that gives a promise of a stable, predictable, economy-friendly kind of dispensation. So there's a lot going for that. The ANC certainly does have various options. Minority government, always very difficult to manage, very unstable, and other political parties, Action SA, maybe could come in. I doubt whether that is going to be a possibility. I think the hectic exchanges and harsh wording we've seen in recent days are part of the essentials of hard bargaining. I think both ANC and the DA are leaving the door open. We also see that in the summaries that we've been seeing of the DA discussions on his federal executive last night, not closing the door. It's about very tough negotiation for control over these positions, a core part in the heart of former exclusively controlled ANC government. So it's a traumatic step for the ANC to take this, and it's trying to protect its territory. The ante was at Monday, Tuesday this week, when the DA added the insistence on changing the Directors General of departments. And I think then the ANC decided it's time that it should not be seen as a pushover. It should be seen that it's really driving a hard bargain. Because we must remember that the ANC is fighting such a big political battle at this stage. Not just is it on the back foot after the election results, but internally it's fighting against its own divisions, its own factions in some way. It has to ensure that the tripartite, two other members of the tripartite alliance are in place. And then, indeed, the EFF is still hoping to get in, given its green and gold blood color, as we know from historical statements, to come in with the ANC and be part of this ANC. And it's difficult for the ANC to counter these arguments in its own midst, because there are so many in the ANC that really feel just much closer to the EFF than they do to the DA. But it's a question of what kind of image of government you put forward at this crucial time in South African history. And this is probably one of the biggest political battles in contemporary history.
It's no surprise in a way that this seems to be also about the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. It is about industrial policy, which can often sounds very boring, but it's really about how you manage the economy in the most unequal country on earth. And if you look at the constituencies of the ANC and the DA, of course they're going to fight.
Yes, indeed. It is. This is really a very pivotal department for ANC policies, for ANC's reassurances to workers, for ANC being seen to be approximately in charge of the economy. So it is such a big department for the ANC, and it would maybe a bit, well, I'm pretty sure a big part of the current battle was actually to pull that one back from the direction it was going, and that was towards a DA. And I've also seen in the segment or summary of the discussions of the DA FedEx that they are offering to take back that insistence on that department and ask that the ANC, Ramaphosa, the two go hand in hand, of course, reconsider and take it as, please also consider maybe minerals and energy or transport that the DA would possibly find those acceptable.
It's interesting to look at the tone of the letter, and in a way, it's a reminder of the kind of politician that Ramaphosa can be, the controlled aggression. Helen Zille was, her letter was offensive, condescending and unconstitutional. I mean, that's very aggressive. I mean, it may be true, may not, but that's not the point. If you look at the history of Ramaphosa as a negotiator, particularly in the mining sector, in the unions back in the 1980s, I mean, it's a reminder of what he can be like in a moment like this.
Yes, indeed. That is, on the face of it, it seems like that. On the other side, I also wonder whether it is not just a deliberately calculated wording to be seen as if he is this very strong negotiator, not a pushover in the battle against the ANC. That is definitely also a possibility. It seems to me that there is very much consent mutually, even between the two parties, that this is the kind of game they are playing in public, whereas please don't take my word too seriously, because if anybody would even risk issuing those words with a chance that those words will be taken literally and seriously, that would be a substitute to breaking off negotiations. So if the DA had been taking those words very seriously, then I cannot imagine them not moving away and pulling away, which they are not doing. So in negotiation talk, language that's often being used, this is what we can expect in that type of forum as well.
Professor Susan Boyson, thank you, political analyst. Really appreciate the time. Well, let's see how the story moves over the weekend. 21 after 7.
Which is the best way to reach success? Is it best to go alone so you can go fast, or for many to go together so they can go far? What if you need to go fast and far? At RMB, we believe the best way to success doesn't make you choose when both are possible. When you need a thoughtful solution for financial complexity, there are only 3 letters you need to know. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Africa! The great Olympians are heading to Paris with courage, determination, and eagerness to raise the flag of Africa Zonga very high. Let's rally behind the well-decorated Team SA. Athletics, swimming, canoeing, climbing, gymnastics, and surfing. The winning mentality of Africa Chibembe will prevail. Hashtag the global battle of great athletes. Experience the Olympic Games Paris 2024 from Friday 26 July until Sunday 11 August. Live on SABC TV channels and SABC radio stations. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. SABC Sport, proud broadcaster of the Olympic Games Paris 2024. For the love of the game.
Are you a youth entrepreneur looking to get funding? SEFA provides opportunities for entrepreneurs through the Youth Challenge Fund. Your success starts here. Visit www.sefa.org.za, search YCF. SEFA is a registered credit provider. Terms and conditions apply.
First in the morning, SAFM Sunrise with Stephen Grootes.
23 after 7, good morning. In Joburg, City Power says it's now increasing the price people pay for power by an average of just over 12%. It's also introducing a 200 Rand network charge for people who use the prepaid system. Frank Hinder is the General Manager for Tariffs at City Power. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen, and good morning to the listeners.
You're introducing a new network charge for prepaid customers. It's 200 Rand. How's that going to work?
Yes, indeed, we are going to introducing the prepaid customer to a network charge of 130 rand and a service charge of 70 rand, together adding up to about 200 rand plus VAT. It then means that when the prepaid customer purchases electricity, in the initial, depending on how much the customer spends, part of the amount will be allocated to the prepaid, to the fixed charge, and the rest to the consumption.
Is that sort of once a month or once a year? How does it work like that?
It is meant to be a monthly charge.
Okay.
So 200 rand over 1 month, yes.
Okay, and if someone pays, say, puts in 3,000 rand at the beginning of the year, and that normally gets them to February, what happens then?
It then means that, strictly speaking, the person will be charged the 200 rand upfront for the month, and on average, customer doesn't come in and buy for so long. So if that's what the customer do, then we will have to find a mechanism of making sure that every month that the 200 rand is then deducted from or added to the customer's bill.
Okay, hold on, Frank. This is important. So for the first time, people in Joburg will be put money into the prepaid system. You're going to take 200 rand of that money, and you're going to do it in a month. So I just want to understand. If I, at the beginning of January, decide, for whatever reason, I'm going to do all of my electricity for the year now, I'm going to put 10,000 rand in, right? There will be people who do that. So then you'll take 200 rand of that for January. What happens for February? You don't know?
So the average customer doesn't necessarily.
I understand that,
yeah.
but you have to have a system that works for everybody, and at the same time, it has to be a system that is obvious and transparent to everybody. So what happens in February?
In that case, the customer would have paid, and you wouldn't be able to go back to that specific customer until we come and purchase again. And then
if that person purchases again in July, what happens for February to July? They haven't paid a network charge and they get away with it. Is that
No. If the person comes back and purchases in July, then it means that there will be 200 rand per month that needs to be covered first before the customer can get a consumption charge.
Okay, so someone could put in a large amount of money, and then the next time they come, so now in July, their life has changed, they put in 200 rand, they lose all of the 200 rand, they get nothing for doing that.
No, we're not losing the 200 rand, we are paying for what we didn't.
They don't get the electricity to work again, Frank.
But that doesn't mean we are losing the 200 rand. Remember, we last paid the 200 rand in January.
I understand that, but someone puts money in, it stops working. The meter makes that beeping noise that it makes, that horrible noise, the red light flashes. You now go to put more money in. Now you only have 200 rand. You put in 200 rand, and the lights do not come back on.
That's why we are saying that if somebody comes and buys for 200 rand for the first time, then that 200 rand will be split. But the 200 rand has to be recovered within the 30 days. So if you come 6 months later, then unfortunately we would then have to first recover the 200 rand for the months prior. But for the month for which you are buying, we allow for splitting the amount between fixed and consumption. But you would understand if you didn't pay for a couple of months in between, that we inevitably will have to take the 200 rand first. And in that case, the customer will walk away, haven't paid the 200 rand, simply because he owes for past consumption.
You made the point at the beginning of this that most people don't put in a large amount of money, and I said I agreed with you. But this means then that most people, maybe if they put in, say, 300 rand, are going to end up paying 200 rand of that to this new charge, and they will only get 100 rand's worth of electricity. Frank, how do you think people are going to react to this?
No. If somebody puts a 300 rand, it will be split 50-50 for the basic charge, and then the balance for consumption.
So, okay, but I appreciate that, but the principle still applies. People are used to putting 200 rand in and getting 200 rand's worth of electricity out. Now they'll be getting a lot less than that. They will be losing 200 rand a month, which they didn't lose before.
Because they will be starting to contribute a bit more to to the network service costs, or the cost of making sure that the network is available to the customer, which the prepaid customer hasn't been contributing to adequately over the years.
So I appreciate that, and it's a very important point that you're making, and this is what we need to get to, is that everybody needs to pay for the network. But I don't know if people will be able to afford to do this. I think you might find there's a big reaction to this.
Of course, I mean, it's something new to the prepaid customer, but and the cost of electricity is increasing for various reasons, of which much has to do with the primary cost of electricity, which is going up significantly. But over the years, also the prepaid customer of City Power has been in a fortunate situation where other customers have been subsidizing them significantly, and it's about and we have now embarking on a journey where some of it cross subsidization will have to go back to where it belongs. So indeed, painful as it may be, it is a journey that inevitably we have to embark on.
Frank Hinder, thank you. General Manager for Tariffs at City Power in Joburg. At just gone 29 after 7.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai, good morning. It's India tomorrow.
Yes, it's all system go. After an exhilarating tournament, the Proteas are gearing up for that T20 World Cup final tomorrow. India will be as well ready. But yes, South Africa's captain Aiden Markram saying he's been leading a team that shows remarkable resilience. They've topped Group D and secured victories in the Super 8s. Aiden Markram sharing his thoughts on the team's journey and their preparations for the final showdown.
Like I mentioned, cricket's a funny game where things go right for you, things don't go right for you, and you take it in your stride. But we're happy with the squad that we have here. It's not just the 11 playing, it's a massive squad effort, and you pick your 11 based on conditions. That's all it's about. So once we get to Barbados and we see what we think we're going to come across in terms of the pitch, then we'll try to pick our best 11.
On to soccer. Manchester United have decided not to renew Benny McCarthy's contract, ending his tenure as a first-team coach when it expires at the end of this month. Despite speculation linking him to Kaizer Chiefs and interest from Major League Soccer, McCarthy will depart after 2 years under Eric Ten Hag's management. Tennis action. American Emma Navarro reached her 5th semi-final, and this after beating the former world number 1 Caroline Wozniacki at the Bar Homburg Open quarter-final. And finally, Formula 1, Max Verstappen dispelled any doubts about his immediate future by saying that he will remain at Red Bull next season. We'll bring you more of these and other stories. Top of the hour, I'm Zai Khan.
Zai, thanks very much indeed. More from Tsecho Fatso as part of our Youth Month takeover in a moment. You're there, SAFM, leading the conversation, 7:30.
Good morning. In the headlines, 9 foundations are calling for national dialogue to unite the country and shape its future. The Ahmed Kathrada, Thabo Mbeki and the Steve Biko foundations are some of the organizations who've joined forces to provide a platform for reflection and addressing the challenges facing the country. The Democratic Alliance met last night to determine if they will be accepting the ANC's latest offer. This as the ANC allegedly proposed 6 cabinet ministers to the DA, including the position of trade and industry. And EU leaders have nominated Ursula von der Leyen for a second 5-year term as President of the European Commission. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Morning. If you come out of the Rudaport area using Main Reef Road, there are 2 crash scenes, one at Cresswell Park, another by Robertville. Quite heavy backlogs on Main Reef Road, and of course both of those slowing you up through towards central Joburg. Houghton Drive around the Wild area, very heavy backlogs going to and from the Mike 1 Highway today, so we'll keep an eye on that one for you. N1 through Midrand, taking a bit of a gap from the heaviness. Friday, a bit of a gentle sort of traffic through there. It's busy but nowhere near what it can be. Pietermaritzburg to Durban, 7, checks fine. Don't forget long-term roadworks. A new set of roadworks are going in between Key Ridge and Hammersdale. That kicks off at some point today with permanent closures of lanes right through until about the middle of December. Cape Town, a crash on the Beach Road in the Strand Gordons Bay area, despite the Astron services. If you come from Gordons Bay through to Strand, using it's probably for Marine Drive, that's where the collision is. And Cape Town also pretty easy Friday, with the exception of traffic up the N7 North and then Bosmansdown Road down to Montague Gardens. That's all jammed up. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Business Update on SAFM.
And darling, good morning once again. What's taking place in the markets at this hour?
So, Taha, we're kicking things off in Asia. It's green screens on that front, with traders awaiting that all-important US PCE print. There was some jitters as the Japanese yen weakened to over 106 to the dollar overnight, but it retraced those losses. With that, Japan's Nikkei is on track to hit a 34-year high. It's up 0.4%, and China's Shanghai index gaining 1.1%. Over in Wall Street, futures trading mixed, but those markets on track to end the first half of the year on an upbeat note. Here at home, markets also mixed, but mostly in the red, just a week after President Ramaphosa's inauguration ceremony, and still no cabinet. Those political uncertainties weighing on the JSE, with the All-Share closing 0.36% in the red. Similar jitters also knocking the local currency, the rand tanking to a one-month low, sitting at 18.49 against the dollar.
And consumer confidence seems to have improved in the second quarter. Tell us more about that.
That's right. So local consumers seem to be less pessimistic. That's as the FNB BER Consumer Confidence Index improved to -12 in the second quarter from -15 in the first quarter. This comes as consumers enjoyed less hours of load shedding, lower fuel and food prices. This quarter's reading is at an 18-month high, so morale clearly on the mend, but still in negative territory. Zooming in on the print, the uptick in confidence levels was driven by middle and low income households. These households benefited from an increase in the SRD grant and a slowdown in inflation. Now, the second quarter survey was conducted between the 3rd and 14th of June after the results from the national election were declared, but before the government of national unity was finalized. The outcome of the talks is said to feed into future confidence levels.
And the growth point seems to be quite affected by the tough trading conditions.
That's right. So property players have been struggling with high interest rates, and Growth Point isn't any different. In a 9-month update, the V&A waterfront owner reaffirmed that it expects to report a 10 to 12% decline in its distributable earnings. On the bright side, though, operationally, the group is performing really well. All three of its domestic portfolios are showing an upbeat performance. Even the office portfolio that has been, downbeat due to the rise of the work from home trend. Overall vacancy levels improving to 8.5% from 9.2%. The group also expects its international investments to perform in line with guidance. Now, given the lower levels of load shedding, diesel costs for the period declined to 103.5 million from 140 million rand. Growth Point also plans to invest about 2.3 million in its core portfolio and about 1.6 billion rand into new assets, largely in the hot logistics property sector.
And darling Lichela, thank you so much.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
23 minutes to 8. Well, that's the number, of course. Don't forget your story of the week from 8:30. Tsekofatso Makola with us through the morning here as part of our Youth Month takeover. I always feel slightly taken over. I don't know what it is about young people. That's a joke. Ninja on the line from Durban. Ninja, hi, good morning. You say we need to form a government. Do we really need one?
Yeah, good morning, Steve, and to your partner in crime. She sounds very impressive. I'm very impressed with her.
Thank you so much.
You come across so nicely. You're cohesive. Yeah.
He doesn't say that about me.
Well, look, your wife will say that about you, not me.
All right, go for it, Ninja.
Yeah, the point is this: the ANC has never been in this position, and they find themselves in an untenable position, and the records speak for themselves. Now, they must realize they lost the election. The people have spoken, because of their record. And their numbers have been receding for some time. And on your show, I predicted they'd get below 40. I was there about, And it's all musical chairs at the moment, but they have to come to a compromise. I think they need an arbiter, such as the Chief Justice, to bring about a compromise. They need competent people in all the portfolios. And you can't put people that don't have a clue. And this is why the ANC finds himself in hot water and he's become a hot potato. And if they're not careful, they'll lose the next election as well by a longer margin.
Yeah.
You see, they don't come up with the goods. The infrastructure needs attention throughout the country. Look, there's no railway.
Yeah.
And the railway is very important to the economics. And that puts the burden on the road. And it's going to cost far more to resurface the road time and time again. The problem is they have these syndicates stealing all the steel, melting it down, selling it to Japan and China. That's what's happening.
Ninja, thank you. On the line from Durban, Phumzile. On the line from Humansdorp. Phumzile, I must remind you, is an ANC councillor. Phumzile, hi, good morning. We're all on our best behaviour this morning because Tshepo Fatso is with us.
Greetings, SG and Tshepo Fatso, and well done for SAFM to bring in young blood. But you must be careful. She might take you over, SG.
Well, maybe I won't be here on Monday because I'm on leave.
Greetings, guys, and thank you very much for the good show. And I have always said, that the SAFM platform is a battle of ideas, which allow every South African to ventilate his or her opinion on issues of national interest. The GNU SG, it's a good exercise, but I must equally declare the point from my side, which says I'm a loyal and disciplined member of the ANC. But, honestly, I was not comfortable from the very onset that the ANC is engaging with the Democratic Alliance, for which its policies are in contrary with those of the ANC. And I was actually looking forward as to how is the GNU going to function, because the ANC equally has got policies that are ready and oiled and functional. Policies like your Triple BE, your NHI, your land issues, etc., which are not entirely supported by the Democratic Alliance. Now, let me go to this issue of the cabinet, and the demands by the Democratic Alliance are actually unacceptable. We cannot create a parallel cabinet. That's the bottom line. And the prerogative of the president will be compromised if he is going to accede, in fact, to the demands of the DA. So that is the presentation or input which I wanted to give this morning. And I am praying that the DA goes out of that GNU. There are other political parties which the ANC can work with, which are not very far in terms of policies with those of the ANC.
Phumzile from Humansdorp, thank you so much for your comments. Very interesting remarks indeed.
All right. So
Big stories on the day. #SAFM Sunrise.
18 minutes to 8, getting a little ahead of myself. Us old people, Tshepo Fatso, you have to have patience with us. One of the big conversations that come out since the election, and in a way started before the election by former President Thabo Mbeki, is the idea of a national dialogue or a national convention. And in fact, I have a memory of as Mbeki was voting in the elections talking about that. Yesterday, a group of foundations formed in the name of Mbeki, Ahmed Kathrada, the Steve Biko Foundation and others, talking about this issue. They believe we need a national convention. Nkosi Biko, the son of Steve Biko, spoke of the sense of despair felt by many people. In a way, it's a slightly controversial idea. Omri Makwale is a rank and file member of the ANC, a columnist as well, someone who's been looking at this. Omri, good morning. Thanks for joining us on SAFM.
Yeah, morning, Stephen, and morning to SAFM.
Do you think this national dialogue would work? Would it help us solve our problems?
Well, it just depends on the agenda in this national dialogue. What will be the agenda? That is the key issue. And at the moment, I don't know the agenda. But depending on the agenda, it might work. It depends on the agenda, whether the agenda is going to address the current problems we have in the country and how to address those problems. That is the issue. And especially question of the infrastructure, ESCOM, Transnet, the post office, things that are built and that are used by South Africans and South Africans. And then whether they be addressed in this dialogue, I don't know, but it depends on the agenda. It can work depending on the agenda.
Omri, I don't know if you're on a speakerphone, if maybe you could come off the speakerphone just so that we can hear you more clearly. What is more complicated is who gets to come to the meeting. In other words, which constituencies are invited and who leads them. And isn't that quite difficult to work out?
Yes, at the moment, I don't really know who are the people who are going to be delegates to this dialogue, who are going to attend. But as you heard, the Dugo Foundation, the Foundation convening, and several other foundations convening. So I don't really know the delegates to this dialogue. But it all depends on who will be the delegates to the dialogue conference. And besides that, what is the agenda? If those two things are clarified, then we might know whether this dialogue can achieve much, except to become just another talk shop or rhetorical workshop, something like that.
And many people may argue that talk is the last thing that we need right now. We're tired of conversations and we need more action. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I understand that, and I understand their feelings, because basically, sorting out ESCOM, making sure that the power stations are running properly 24/7, so that people have electricity 24/7, it's a straightforward thing. But depending on whether you sort out the bureaucracy that led to this paralysis in ESCOM, and that bureaucracy maybe requires discussion. And then to what sort of discussion will sort out is whether you deal with the coal cartels and maintenance fraud in the power stations, all those things, how you are going to handle them, it will depend. Maybe it requires discussion somewhere.
Could someone use this for disruption? There might be people who actually want to disrupt a process like this, and you'd have to invite them. They might represent a constituency, whoever, and actually they would just use it to disrupt it.
Yes, it's possible. It's possible, and that's why I say it depends on the delegates to this dialogue. Whoever the delegates are, and who chooses those delegates, who appoints those delegates. Because if the person who appoints those delegates wants to disrupt the entire process, they will appoint people who come and disrupt the entire process. But if the delegates, if the conveners, nominate people who are patriotic to South Africa, who are rational, they will try and come out and find solutions to address the current problems that we have, such as Transnet. We don't have trains running in many of the places where the trains used to run, the railway is not routed. And all those things, who's going to address that? And whether this dialogue will address those things, I don't know at the moment.
That was Omri Mokhwaile, who's a rank and file member of the ANC. Thank you so much for taking time to speak to us this morning.
SAFM. Well, road through Midrand, getting busy now with a breakdown just before Allendale Road. So coming through from Olifantsfontein, New Road down towards that obstruction is slow. Main Reef Road coming out of Rudaport to Joburg. Crash at the Cresswell Park junction of Elias Motsoaledi is still causing some delays. Looks like the collision further in at Rudaport Robertville area has been cleared away. Crash on the N14. This is the Krugersdorp Highway between the R55 Pretoria West exit and the Brockfontein interchange. If you are Pretoria bound, it's quite slow getting through there. Pietermaritzburg down to Durban, looking fine, no major backlogging. There is a big truck crash on your way to Joburg, just by Escort South, so if you're on that run from Moy River up in towards Escort just after Hidcote, watch for some slowing traffic at that scene. And Cape Town, a collision on the main road at Stanhope Road, right in the heart of Claremont. That is causing some delays. The highway networks going into Cape Town looking generally okay. Just a bit of congestion, R300 north up towards the N1 through Brackenfell. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Lights, camera, scalpel. Every second counts, and every cut, every thought, every action is Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime. Only on S3. Open up.
There's been no electricity for a week because my neighbors overloaded the transformer with their illegal connection. My daughter can't study at night because my neighbor blew our transformer by bridging his meter. My neighbors have been buying electricity from illegal vendors and using it carelessly. We live amongst them and allow them to vandalize vital electricity infrastructure. We need to stop that. Report illegal connections to ESCOM on 0800 112722 or the SAPS. Save your transformer. Save lives.
Do you remember the cool times of Sports Buzz?
Coming up on Sports
Buzz used to be the go-to young people sports show in Mzansi Africa. The multi-sport award-winning youth magazine show. A great platform that profiled young athletes and teams. The glory days of Sports Buzz are back in a newly revamped youth sports show with a wow vibe. Goats like us. Yeah, goats. Greatest of all time. Experience youth excellence in sports, profiling of active athletes and teams, latest news in the world of youth sport, the active voice of school sports, and promoting a healthy lifestyle among the youth. Do not miss out on Goats Like Us. Your front row seat awaits you every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DCT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag Goats, greatest of all time. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
All right, 10 minutes now to 8 the time. You're with SFM. I'm Stephen Grootes. Tsegofatso Makola with us as well as part of our Youth Month takeover this morning. Let's go to Peter on the line from Durban. Peter, hi. The Government of National Unity. Anyone seen it?
Yes. Good morning, Stephen, and to the new lady. I'm not sure I didn't get the name correctly.
Tsegofatso, yes.
Apologies.
Not at all.
I just want to add that, at first, I do think that there was a huge chunk of the population that was excited to see what's going to come out of the DA. And a lot of people bought in, even if they didn't vote for the DA or didn't vote for the ANC, were then saying maybe the two different political minds will work together and make something out of it. And that they will come together with their manifestos and create a system that actually benefits every South African. And but what actually happened after that is what's concerning. And I do think that it's not the DA per se, but probably Helen Zille who's causing most of the trouble, where she just goes on media and says what she feels like saying. And I think that was seen to people as very arrogant. And I'm not even Johnny's doing that. And I think the DA needs to really come to the table and take what's given to them and then work themselves from there if they want to move to the next election. The current thing is that the ANC does have 6 million votes. You can't deny them that. So they may not have won the election, but they do have a huge chunk of the vote, and you can't expect them to just give away everything. It's got 6 million votes, and it may have those that still support it, and you don't expect the ANC as well to go and work with the MK, because the MK was formed out of spite and to deal with Zuma court cases, and nobody wants to actually speak about those type of things. So the ANC is in a space where who else does it work with? It works with the DA. But the DA is now playing a game of saying, we want to take everything. But if I was the DA, I would show the country that I'm serious about service delivery, take in service delivery portfolios, maybe take water ministry to show people that we are delivering water. But the DA wants strategic portfolios because it's all about the investors. And it starts to make people feel like, maybe the DA is not what they need to be.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
It's very interesting, Peter. No, I don't think you're wrong there. I think there's a lot to that, and people are very critical of certain personalities, and I think we understand why, in a way. And where do we go next? Is the next question. Tabiso and Polokwane, hi.
Hi, Steve, and you. Can I say your co-host there?
You can. Yes.
Yes. No, Stephen. I think it's high time as a country that we embrace the suggestion of having a national dialogue to reflect about the challenges that our people are faced with, and to collectively, as a country, diversity from all over we come from, and say this is our contribution. This is what needs to happen to change the fortunes of this particular country. I mean, during elections, there are a number of people who they have said they are not going to vote because of this and that and that and all of those. So and I think it's important that the dialogue needs to happen. The modalities, of course, as and when. I mean, one of my also thinking is that most of the work that we do and call in your show and many other shows in this in radios are as a result of people who want to contribute here and there to shape the direction of the country. I'm thinking the national dialogue will help a great deal for those that have been disillusioned about the direction of the country and they don't see a way that they can be able to add a voice here and there. So we should embrace that and say, congrats to those that have come up with the idea. I've seen the president embracing it, and many people are embracing it. They should be able to come up with the modalities as to who will be able to participate. Of course, we might not necessarily be able to participate, all of us, but we live in a digital world where everyone can be able to put up his contribution in terms of how do we move forward.
And Tambi, so who do you think should be incorporated when it comes to this national dialogue?
Look, there are a number of people. I mean, the suggestion was that the civil society movement, business, ordinary South Africans should be able to say this is how things should be. And I believe that if all of us as a country, if we were given a chance, an email or whatever, who can contribute ideas on how the national dialogue should be. We want to have a task team that says this are the ones that will be collecting ideas all over the country, in provinces and in rural areas, to say South Africa is it's not in a stable state. I mean, we tomorrow it will be the 29th. We had voted on the 29th. We don't even have a national. We don't even have a national cabinet. It's tough. So how do we move from here? People are not voting. A number of people decided to register, not vote. Others did not even register. So it's important that we reflect about all these things and also reflect about our 30 years of democracy.
Tabisa, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut you there, but thank you so much for your remarks. Let's take a call from Lebo in Mayton. Lebo, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Seho. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Seho, the DNU, right? There was a discussion between the ANC and the DA. And the DA kept their end of the bargain. They voted with the ANC to make Ramaphosa the president. Now, the ANC need to stick to what they agreed with the DA. We cannot see how to ransom by the ANC telling us that, no, the DA is now renegating on what they signed on. They agreed. They said they voted with them. Ramaphosa is the president. They have been in government for 30 years. I live in Hendian Club. We are under Municipal. I am happy with the municipality here. There is service delivery, right? They failed to deliver service for 30 years. They have called this upon themselves. People gave them 30 years to govern. People gave them 30 years to give them basic service delivery, water, get rid of pit latrine toilets. They couldn't do that in 30 years, right? So they need to calm down. They need to acknowledge where they went wrong. And they need to say, let us allow the DA to help us govern this country. They failed for 30 years. They failed. Now they need to, not even humble themselves. They need to acknowledge and say, we failed the country. Now somebody is coming on board to help us govern this country.
Thank you so much, Lebo. That's Lebo from Mayton. Let's go to Temba, who's in Norwood. Temba, good morning.
Morning, how are you, my sister?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. I want to speak about the national dialogue. My sister, when you want to solve a problem, you must start where there's a problem, where the problem started. They can't come today and talk about the national dialogue. The national dialogue, we need to know what was discussed on the CODESA. We need those minutes, because they can't come now to say, let's have a national dialogue. What's that? They must tell us what they were discussing on the CODESA, because we're not part there.
Temba, haven't we had this argument before? I think we have.
No, we didn't.
You did. The conclusion's the Constitution, man.
No, Stephen. You see, Stephen, you can't come today and you say national dialogue. Let's have a really CODESA where we sit down, we talk about the wealth of the country, how we share, how we live each other, how we do things, how we transfer everything. You can't come now and say you want national dialogue. For what? No, we don't want that. Yes. And then quickly, Stephen, for the issue of GA and ANC, my brother, Serap, I'm just hoping that those two people, they mustn't reach any agreement, because you see the great damage that will be done by those coalition ANC and GA. It's a big damage, my brother, because ANC has been deploying people since they took power, and the people in the municipality everywhere, they are under ANC. Imagine if you put GA, those people have to go home now just to lose their jobs. You see, the municipality will not gonna work. I'm telling you. I'm hoping that they mustn't get it. They must fight like that until ANC goes to a coalition with those other black parties. Because I'm telling you, my brother, I'm telling you. That's what I'm hoping. I'm praying. I'm also praying that they mustn't reach any agreement, because I know the great damage that will be. And South Africa, they must put in their consideration to think about what happen if GA and ANC come to power.
All right,
nothing's gonna happen, my brother.
Thank you. Always good to hear a strong view from Temba in Norwood. You'll know that from time to time you hear the odd strong view on SAFM in the morning. All right, more to come. We'll find out a little bit more about stock theft in KwaZulu-Natal. In fact, we did a mediated conversation on it this week, but we'll hear from the provincial government on that subject now. And then don't forget, from 8:30 to 9 o'clock, your story of the week. It is, of course, the Youth Month takeover. Tsegofatso Makola with us this morning. You with SFM leading the conversation. It's Friday morning. It's 8 o'clock. Essential cover from Outsurance pays out claims in cash, allowing you to choose your own panel beater. SMS CAR to 43517 now.
In our top stories, 9 foundations calling for a national dialogue and DA to decide on the ANC's latest offer. Good morning. 9 foundations are calling for a national dialogue to unite the country and shape its future. The Ahmed Kathrada, Thabo Mbeki and Steve Biko foundations are some of the organizations who've joined forces to provide a platform for reflection and addressing the challenges facing the country. Executive Director of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, Nishan Bolton, says the proposed national dialogue intends to restore hope to South Africans.
What this has come to buy is the outcome of the 2024 elections, which has brought about an imminent government of national unity and a realization that whilst we might have a government of national unity, what we don't have is a country of national unity, a country that has a common vision, a common plan to implement that vision, and the partnerships that are required between government and those outside of government to effect that partnership that gets evaluated at a periodic basis and adjust when necessary.
The Democratic Alliance met last night to determine if they will be accepting the ANC's latest offer. This as the ANC allegedly proposed 6 cabinet ministers to the DA, including the position of trade and industry. However, the ANC appears to have done a U-turn at the 11th hour by allegedly withdrawing the trade and industry offer. This is a move that has left a bitter taste with the DA. Sibatle Mota reports.
The Democratic Alliance is apparently unhappy with the withdrawal of the Department of Trade and Industry portfolio, which the ANC had offered along with 5 others, which include Home Affairs, Basic Education and Communication, amongst others.
Thousands of Guyana residents in Limpopo continue to experience acute water shortages. This as another deadline to complete the multi-billion rand bulk water project has been missed by water authorities. Authorities had promised the project would be completed by May this year. Previously, several deadlines were also missed. More than 55 villages are still without adequate water. Residents Rufus Maponia and Kokizita says they are forced to share water with dams and fountains with animals.
We don't have water here in our village. We are now forced to buy water with 2 rands. We don't have water. We drink water with animals at the dam. We want the government that we voted for to help us get water.
Water Authority Mopani District Municipality spokesperson Odus Ngobeni.
We had appointed around 37 contractors, all at different times. There are contractors that were appointed around July. They are expected to complete their work this July. But there are those that were appointed earlier and they are completed. The only outstanding work will be around ensuring that the reticulation is linked to the bulk.
Further afield, the Bolivian President Luis Arce has denied any involvement or prior knowledge of a failed coup attempt led by the country's former army chief on Wednesday. So far, 17 people have been arrested for alleged involvement in the plot. The BBC's Warren Bull has more details.
Shortly before he was arrested on Wednesday, General Suniga told reporters he'd been ordered to stage the uprising by the president, who the military chief said had wanted to boost his popularity and appear as a strongman. President Arce denies this, but General Suniga's exact motives for taking troops into the centre of La Paz are unclear. The general said he wanted to create real democracy, but had been dismissed earlier in the week after saying he would not allow the former left-wing leader, Evo Morales, to return to power in Bolivia.
And finally, EU leaders have nominated Ursula von der Leyen for a second 5-year term as President of the European Commission. The bloc's 27 national leaders also picked former Portuguese Prime Minister Antonio Costa as President of the European Council and selected Estonia's Prime Minister as the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy at a summit in Brussels. The European Parliament is due to vote on the nominations next month. Recapping the top story, 9 foundations are calling for a national dialogue to unite the country and shape its future. The Ahmed Kathrada, Thabo Mbeki and the Steve Biko foundations are some of the organizations who've joined forces to provide a platform for reflection and addressing the challenges facing the country. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Thanks very much indeed. And that's the news for this hour. Theft, accident and R1 million liability cover, all covered by Outsurance Essential. Get a quote today, SMS CAR to 43517. Forget everything else for a moment and listen to this. Outsurance Essential is a custom designed and perfectly priced car insurance product available to owners of unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at under 125,000 Rand. But the real game changer is the fact that your claim is paid out in cash, which gives you the freedom to choose any panel beater of your choice. SMS CAR to 43187 for an Outsurance Essential quote. That's CAR to 43187. License insurer and FSB. T's and C's online.
A very good morning to you in your SFM sports headlines. We're building up to the clash of the Titans, which is the ICC T20 World Cup final between the Proteas and India tomorrow. And in tennis news, South Africa's Lloyd Harris has qualified for Wimbledon. We'll bring you all this and more just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning from the N14, the Krugersdorp Highway. You had a Pretoria, some delays today into another crash in Sahai collision. Read this one this time of the morning. The collision there between the R55 Pretoria West exit and the N1 Brockfontein interchange. So the N14 Pretoria bound stays heavy across into Durban. A crash on the N2. There are 2 of them, one around Kwamashu and another one after that up by Gateway. So it's the collision scene at Kwamashu. It's causing a big backlog from Queen Nandi Drive. In Nanda Road, coming from Parlock down towards the N2, that's quite a heavy delay as well this morning. And Cape Town, we've just been tweeting about an easy Friday. It's pretty open, pretty flowing around the mother city. Only real hold up is just the little bit of congestion on the elevated freeway into the CBD. Also, truck crash, Escort side of KZN on the N3. 2 trucks colliding Escort south. Watch some delays as you come from Moy River Hidcote side in towards that Escort area upon that scene. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
SAFM Sunrise. A vivid start to your day.
It's 7 minutes after 8, and you're still tuned into SAFM with myself, Tsukufatsa Makola, on the SAFM's Youth Month takeover. We do still have Stephen Grootes on
for now. Thanks.
For now. And we're going to have a very interesting conversation. A lot seems to be taking place in KZN as of late, and a little earlier on in the show, we were having a conversation on the intervention of cocktail within the province, or specifically within eThekwini. But let's shift the convo towards the issue of stock theft within the province.
We'll go and do that in just a moment, of course, Sekofat. So also don't forget your story of the week from 8:30 this morning. 086 000 2032 is the number.
Lights, camera, scalpel. Every second counts, and every cut, every thought, every action is critical. Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up.
Durban is open for business and investment. A large delegation from the United States of America, including captains of industry, business, investors, finances, decision makers, and high-profile leaders will attend the 2024 Resurgence Durban Conference to explore and maximize investment opportunities in Durban. Be part of the Resurgence Durban Conference taking place at the Durban ICC from the 17th to the 21st of July 2024. Durban is forging ahead with its plan of action that is aimed at boosting trade and investment within South Africa, the African continent, and the rest of the world. Businesses must register now to exhibit at the conference. Closing date is the 30th of June 2024. To register for the Resurgence Durban Conference and for more information, visit www.resurgenceconference.org.
Five-time champions Bafana Bafana and three-time champs the Zebras are both searching for the essential 3 points in their second Group A contest. This is the Hollywood Bets COSAFA Cup 2024. Experience the beauty of the Southern African Derby. South Africa versus Botswana on Saturday 29 June at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, SABC 1 and SABC radio stations. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
And it's now 10 past 8, and we're having a bit of a conversation a bit earlier on what's been taking place in KZN. But we are joined by the MEC of Agriculture and Rural Development in KZN, Ms. Timbeni Matlopa Mthethwa, who's the MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development, and we're just going to have a bit of a conversation about what seems to be taking place specifically in the province regarding stock theft. Thank you so much, MEC, for taking time to speak to us this morning. We know you've had quite a few days in office already, but it appears that stock theft seems to be an issue that you have inherited so far. But I want us to delve into the conversation about what government is doing in addressing the reported increases in livestock theft that have been reported as of late within the province.
Thank you, and good morning to your listeners. Although I'm new in the department, but I'm a member of the community and also a stock farmer initially. What is concerning the community is the issue of stock theft, but the department is having a program where they are issuing stock licenses to each and every citizen that is having stock, and there are also committees within the area. And then if you take your stock from one area to another, you need then to have a permit. If we can make sure that we issue permits for each and every animal that is moving from one space to another, then I think that can also assist, because we know each and every farmer in each and every area. And then if they take their stock to the market, they are given these permits. That can also assist to minimize stock theft.
And I mean, that's all good and well, but we know that the pressing issue at hand seems to be, the livestock theft that's linked to Shisanyamas within the province. Can you tell us more about what's actually going on within that?
We have some incidents now where, because the stock are having numbers that are issued by the department, the branding. But unfortunately, if they kill the animal and take off the skin, you cannot easily say whose car was that or the car belonged to who. But I think as been to the office, we need to also introduce a new system to say if they take the meat after skinning it, we need then to have even a permit that will also indicate where did you buy the car, the cattle, so that we are sure that it is not steal, because of these cold rooms and all those things, some people, they end up killing, stealing, and then they just take these to whoever. But if we make sure that we're there, and also I'm happy with the Department of Correctional Services and SATF, because there are police that are responsible for stock theft, and they recover most of the cattle.
And you're talking about the role of, the police in ensuring that this is something that does not happen. I want us to shift to the community, because such things happen whilst people are watching, whilst community members are watching. What role do community partnerships play in preventing and reporting incidents of livestock theft?
There are committees within the community, and the department is encouraging the communities to report if they see something that is not familiar. But we cannot 100% say the community can assist, because you can't, without a permission, ask a person if he is carrying a car, where are you taking this to? But Amakosi, which are local traditional leaders, Izinduna, and leaders, councillors, municipal officials that are responsible for each and every area, they are also assisting to report these incidents.
And just closing off, MEC, going forward, you've listed a couple of things that you think should be done going forward to, reduce stock theft within the province. But how confident are you in reducing stock theft within the province? Do you think that some of the suggestions that you brought up are going to actually reduce the issue that we have at hand within the province?
I'm 100% sure, because if we involve community, involve local leaders, everything happens in a community, in a local place. But if we involve every stockholder in the area, we can, together as a team, stop this thing.
Thank you so much. That was the MEC of Rural Agriculture and Rural Development within KZN.
Agenda setting conversations of the day.
16 after 8, you with SAFM, continuing with our Youth Day takeover with myself. I'm the youth, Teko Fatsumokola. I think is most of the experience this morning. Let's focus on the situation regarding our soldiers in the DRC. 2 soldiers dying in the East Kivu province. They're part of the SADC mission there, trying to protect civilians from militia groups, including the M23 group. Sapira Dlamini is the SANDF spokesperson. Sapira, good morning. Thanks for your time on SAFM this morning.
Good morning, Stephen, and good morning to your listeners.
We've been told this was a mortar attack, presumably by M23. What happened to our soldiers this week?
Stephen, this incident happened when our soldiers, that is the Summit DRC, had a confrontation with the negative forces in Sake. And during that fight, one of the mortar of the negative forces fell onto where our base is located, and that's where we suffered the injuries and the loss of one member, and the other one who died in hospital.
There are big questions around the equipment that our soldiers have now. It's jungle fighting. It's against groups that have been living there for a long time. It's a very important mission that our soldiers are involved in to protect civilians there. Do our soldiers have the right equipment to fight in the jungle against a group like M23, which is very sophisticated equipment?
Well, Stephen, we do remember before we leave, our military personnel are taken through the paces of jungle war. And we do that in the area of the Eastern Cape, which is a terrain similar to the DRC, and they go through the paces, so they would know exactly what the terrain looks like, because that terrain in the Eastern Cape is similar to that. The second issue, Stephen, is that we also are working together with our sister countries, namely Tanzania and Malawi, and together we bring together different capabilities and expertise in this whole mission.
The issue of attack helicopters, I'm told, is crucial to this. I'm not a defense expert myself, but I know in the past when we were part of a mission, I think a UN mission in 2013, attack helicopters played a big role in pushing back M23. We don't have attack helicopters. They're difficult, expensive things to get. They're very effective. Are we looking at getting attack helicopters, maybe the Royal Fox? Or I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done with Denel to get them flying again.
Look, Stephen, we're looking at getting as much capabilities as possible to support our troops. And you're right, getting those into the air is expensive and takes a bit of time. However, some other countries may chip in within the interim to bring in whatever capabilities they have from their own countries. Might I add that it's only 3 countries of SADC that are there with boots on the ground. However, there are other countries that are contributing in various forms and the others. So whatever capabilities and equipment that might be needed there would be sourced from the countries of SADC, because this is a SADC decision and each country made a contribution to this mission.
So Piwet Levi, thanks very much indeed, spokesperson for the South African National Defence Force.
Am I left or right-brained? I'm leaning right. However, I do have some left-brain tendencies. Perhaps I'm left-brained with right-brain tendencies. Am I overthinking this? I don't want to be caught underthinking it. Or maybe I'm overthinking about underthinking the overthinking. Which am I?
At RMB, the simple answer is both. When you need a thoughtful solution for financial complexity that doesn't make you choose, there are only 3 letters you need to know. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
22-time champions Toulouse want to rubber stamp their dominance with the 23rd title. But Bodo Begley have a massive point to prove that they didn't reach their first final by mistake. This is the Top 14 final. Stade Toulousain collides with Union Bodo Begley this Friday, 28 June at 9 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Science of Life on SAFM.
It's 21 minutes after 8 o'clock and you're still tuned in to SAFM's The Sunrise. My name is Tsokofatsa Makola and I'm taking over the show today with Stephen Grootes, although this is the Youth Month edition. Yes, he's still here. And we're having a bit of a conversation, and I'd like us to have a conversation about, science. And, it's great to see or hear of young people doing great things, because I think Stephen probably thinks that we just sit around all day and listen to him. We've grown up listening to him. Although this story showcases that there are young people doing great things. And many of us have probably not built anything or changed a tire in our lives. But when you think of these young people, they have really just done the unthinkable. So in case you didn't know, an innovative solar boat that was built and designed by the Durban University of Technology students will compete in the Monaco Energy Boat Challenge later this year. And this has been launched by the Energy and Water Sector Education Training Authority and DUT at the Point Yacht club in Durban. So the Siamba Solar Project or boat team will be the first African team participating in this event that will take place in July, which is next month. And out of the 120 entries that were entered into this prestigious competition, DUT was selected as one of just 15 finalists. This is something very, very big. And here to speak more about this, we have Eugene Zili, who is the Team Liaison and Project Manager at DUT's KZN Industrial Energy Efficient Training and Resource Center. Thank you so much, Eugene, for taking time to speak to us on Sunrise.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
I think the first question has to be what sparked, DUT to actually decide to take part in this boat challenge that is set to take place later this year?
We've been quite involved with a lot of educational and development projects, especially in the energy field. We've done a few projects with the energy and water sector in the past, like the Energy Drive Truck, which is a renewable energy mobile training facility that goes around the country, showcasing all sorts of renewable energy technology. So we thought, well, what's the next best step? We were approached by an organization which runs the solar car event in South Africa to develop a electrical vehicle for big race locally and internationally. But we just thought, we're based in Durban. We're in the University of Technology. Knowledge transfer is very important. And developing the next best piece of technology in terms of transport is very important. So we thought, well, a lot of the transport that takes place in the world currently is actually marine-based. Probably 70-80% of all transport is water-based. So we thought, well, we're based in Durban. We've got a very, very, very good building industry in South Africa. Let's partner with industry as a university. Let's get some students involved. We started the project about 5 years ago. We, for 2 years, we did a lot of development by ourselves. And in the third year, we approached the Energy Water sector for some support. They were very influential in the Energy Drive Truck. So we thought, these guys are quite serious about education, especially education in the renewable energy field. So let's approach them and see if the Energy Water sector will come to the party. They were very, very, very helpful, fantastic. The input that they provided was immense. In terms of the funding and support that they provided, just sort of enabled us to actually get this boat out to sea, literally to Monaco. So we will be leaving tomorrow. The competition starts next week, and all systems go. We hope everything will go very well.
And we also, continue.
No problem. No, carry on.
Yeah, so we're definitely hoping that you do well as well. I did say a bit earlier on that you're the first African team to, participate in this event. Surely that's a lot of pressure.
Yes, it does. It really does. If you look at the competition, some of the teams have been involved since the beginning of the race. The race is a little bit over 10 years. I'm going for 10 years now, over 10 years. And some of the teams have had a good chance to explore all sorts of other technologies, new technologies. But to see what students can do at such a level, it's just mind-boggling. And the idea to get some African and South African students involved is fantastic. It's just mind-boggling to see what students can actually do at that level. So for us, it's very important to, as a University of Technology, to get that knowledge into a practical project as such, something that the guys can actually get their hands dirty with and learn. It's the only way you can learn. And again, I must congratulate EWCETA in providing the support. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be going to Monaco tomorrow. But yeah, I must say, in terms of the technology itself, experience, I mean, this is a fantastic opportunity for any student to be involved with. I mean, you don't get those opportunities coming your way very often. So we intend to...
Mr. Eugene, I think unfortunately we're going to have to cut you there, but thank you so much for, shedding a bit of light on what this means for you as a team. We'll definitely be watching the Siyahamba Solar Boat team to see how you fare in Monaco, but thank you so much for taking time to speak to us this morning.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Zai, good morning. Proteas ready for tomorrow?
Yebo, the Box and the Proteas are in action. That means the junior box. Will come to that story. But let's go to the Proteas. They're ready to rock when it comes to the ICC T20 final. It's going to be an exhilarating match. They are geared to face India 4:30 in the afternoon tomorrow. South Africa's captain Aiden Markram leads a team that has shown remarkable resilience, topping Group D and securing victories in the Super 8s. This is the Proteas' first final since 1998. Now, the junior Springboks, they've announced a settled team for their World Rugby Under-20 Championship opener. That's against Fiji at Cape Town Stadium tomorrow. Captain Zachary Porton will lead a side that aims to improve on last year's third-place finish. With a solid preparation camp in Stellenbosch, the Junior Boks are ready to tackle their first of 3 Pool C matches. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. More rugby. The Springbok utility back Sasha Feinberg Ngomezulu is ready for the Rugby Championship after being named in Rassie Erasmus's 39-man squad. The 22-year-old made a strong Springbok debut against Wales at Twickenham, highlighting a long-range penalty goal in that 41-13 victory. Now, despite some injuries, Sasha has shown resilience and adaptability. Now, he is looking forward to the upcoming challenges against Ireland and Portugal. Let's hear from Sasha himself.
It's happened fast. I've had a few injuries, so there hasn't been lacked some game time, which has been frustrating, but on the other hand, getting to understand the game on a deeper level, analysing, spending lots of time on my laptop, it's certainly helped. And the guys back at the union at Stormers, I give a lot of credit to them because, as a youngster coming through the system, it's not easy, especially playing at inside centre where a lot of your players are usually experienced. So.
And tennis, South Africa's Lloyd Harris has booked his place in the men's singles draw at this year's Wimbledon. He will be the only South African, male or female, in singles action. The 27-year-old Harris came through 3 rounds of qualifying to secure his spot in the tournament, starting on Monday, the 1st of July. In the women's draw, Iga Swiatek, the top seed Coco Gauff, and Elena Rybakina amongst the women's hopefuls who trained at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Rybakina is hoping to add to her maiden Wimbledon title from 2022, while Swiatek and Gauff are both playing for their first. Also training was Carlos Alcaraz, the world number 1 Yannick Sinner, and the world number 2 Novak Djokovic, as well as the world number 4 Alexander Zverev. They were all practicing ahead of the championships, which begins on Monday. That's a wrap for now on Sunrise. We'll bring you more sport on SAFM around 12:30. I'm Zai Khan.
Zai, thanks very much indeed. What happened to you this week? Your story this week? I think Tsecho Fatsumakola happened to me this week. I don't know. Do I get to talk in the next half hour? Do? Stanza? Lots of thumbs downs. Thanks a lot. That's a great help. Yeah, been here 10 seconds. All right. You know the number. Your story of the week. Good to hear from you. We still don't have a cabinet. 086 000 2032. That's the number. The next half an hour is yours. And Tsecho Fatsos at 8:30.
Good morning. In the headlines, the Democratic Alliance has decided to continue its negotiations with the ANC over the formation of the Government of National Unity, despite disagreements over cabinet positions. 9 foundations are calling for a national dialogue to unite the country and shape its future. The Ahmed Kathrada, Thabo Mbeki and the Steve Biko foundations are some of the organizations who have joined forces to provide a platform for reflection and addressing the challenges facing the country. And Iran is voting today to elect a new president following the death of Ibrahim Raisi last month. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Still got some delays on the N14, the Grootes On highway heading up towards Pretoria. Cash just after the R55 Pretoria West exit. There is quite a backlog of traffic in that area. The rest of Gauteng looking generally okay. We're on the move quite nicely around the province. Same sort of situation with KZN now. There was a backlog of traffic heading up towards Kumashi with a crash scene on the N2. That scene has been cleared and things moving along nicely. Spaghetti Junction up to Umgeda Road moving well as well. Don't forget today at some point roadworks go in between Key Ridge and Hammersdale. Once they go in, it'll be a right lane closure most likely, and it'll stay in until mid-December. So that's going to be the latest sort of traffic hotspot between Pietermaritzburg and Durban. It's just the latest of the works, and it all starts today. Cape Town having an easy Friday as well. We had a little bit of a backlog on the elevated freeway, but even that has eased as you approach the city centre. Chesapeake Drive staying closed because of a catch fence repair works. Oud-Kaapstad is the alternative route, while Chappies remains closed. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
What happened to you this week? That, of course, is the question. What's your story of the week? 086 000 2032. Tsekofatso Makola with us as well as part of our Youth Month takeover. Tsekofatso, you've listened for some years, you tell us. Anything surprise you being on the other side of the microphone? I mean, is Mdu not quite what you thought?
Definitely not. It is a lot. I think it's very fast-paced. Definitely did not expect the show to be as fast-paced as it is, but very, very informative. Definitely expected that. I definitely learned a lot.
It's very interesting to do, and I always find I just learn something every week, every day, really.
Most definitely, and I think that's what makes it more fun, right?
Yeah. All right, your story of the week. What for you is the most important thing that happened this week? What have you been thinking about this week? Let's go to Bramoro on the line from Mangaung. Bramoro, it's been a while. Good morning.
Thank you very much. I was away in Ghana for a month. I'm back for good.
Welcome home, Bramoro.
Thank you so very much for welcoming me. Firstly, what is wrong with your Twitter pages? You are hardly updated since the election.
I think it's the owner of my Twitter account that's the problem, Bramoro.
Thank you. I will restore the keys back to you. We can use sports to enhance tourism in the country. The Bafana played against Zimbabwe in the World Cup qualifiers here in Mangaung. The stadium was fully packed.
Yes.
Although it was a chilly winter season, nevertheless, the stadium was packed. So I asked myself, why is COSAFA management failing to allow the Free State to host the COSAFA Cup, at least for the first time in our history? The tournament currently is being hosted in the Eastern Cape, Quebec. It's even free entry, but the stadium is even half full, which is free entry. Whereas in Bloemfontein, you are even charging us the cheapest ticket is 50 rand, but the whole stadium is filled up to the brim. So is it not appropriate if we bring such tournaments in Bloemfontein, which will boost our tourism in Bloemfontein, whilst enhancing the COSAFA Cup integrity and also boosting the economy of the Free State as well as the whole country? Steve, what do you think about this?
No, Bramoro, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think we need to take football where people want to see it. And Mangaung is obviously the place. That's where we need to do it. And I saw those crowds. They were huge.
It's very chilly. The whole country, we are the coldest city. But yet people forgot their blankets, etc., in the comfort of their bed, troop into the stadium for the sake of supporting their national team. So why can't we at least thank the Free State residents by bringing the COSAFA Cup here? Or do we also have to hold the protest march probably from here to the Union Building before our petition will be heard?
All right, Bramoro, no, I hear you. Thank you. On the line from Mangaung.
Let's take a call from John, who's in Cape Town. John, good morning.
Yes. Hi. So it's nice to hear Stephen having some young blood to actually help him kind of remember things.
I'm still here, John. You're older than I am.
I just wanted to reflect on while working with whistleblowers as a social worker. I'm traveling around the country just looking and meeting new people who are wanting to kind of blow the whistle on corruption and all the rest. So from that perspective, looking at the whole deadlock within the supposed grand coalition, because it's not a government of national unity, I'm very much convinced of that. A play with words or a subtle rephrasing of what's required. Do we need a government of national unity, or do we need governance for national unity? And I think that shift of mindset, because the only question that arises,
what is causing disunity? And I'm busy researching a book in the 80s on the life of Molly Blackburn and what was happening in the country at that time. And the Southern Catholic Bishops' Conference produced a document called The Things That Make for Peace. And they identified 4 factors then. And it just occurred to me that those same factors are actually at work today. Not exactly. We've got rid of apartheid. But what we're now facing still is wealth and poverty, fear and closed-mindedness, and the clash of ideologies. Those are the other 3 things they saw as being bedeviling our move towards democracy. So I'm saying now, 40 years later, can we not... I'm not sure that politicians are the best equipped people to deal with those things.
Yes.
Because politics is by definition based on power over strategies. And what we need is power with and power for. So going back to my concern about whistleblowers, I'm sitting here fretting at the fact that we still have not had an overhaul of the Protected Disclosures Act. We still have not got protection and support. I've just had to find support for a whistleblower from the United States for funding for them, to protect them. So it's that concern, is the sense of realism that people need to get real with the fact that it's the criminal justice system. It doesn't really need a national dialogue to talk about that. It just needs a good, competent minister and a will of all people in the government to actually sort it out.
Yeah.
And to actually start incentivizing, protecting, and supporting whistleblowers.
No, John, I hear you. Sorry to interrupt you there, but I think that's, it's about political will, and I don't know that it's really become part of the conversations around the government of national unity, not at this stage, certainly, but I mean, your point about power, I think, is very, very important. You were there, SFM, 21 minutes now to 8. Tsecho Fatsumo is still with us as part of our Youth Month takeover as well. Maputle on the line from Tshwane now. Tsecho Fatsumo has just warned you. Maputle, you still believe the earth is flat, right?
Yeah, Tsecho also needs to know that.
Okay.
The world is flat. As a youth.
Okay. All right, Tsecho. All right, Maputle, go for it.
First, salvo. Julian Assange is controlled opposition, but it's a story for another day.
Okay.
Secondly, the government of national unity. Last time I called you, Stephen, I told you that elections is theater for the masses, the retarded masses now, because everybody does not see the big picture. What we've been led into, we are being led into a one world, order or one world government, which is slowly but surely being crafted by those who lead us, the elite. Now they want to start it here in South Africa to see how it will turn out. And the masses are oblivious. They're ignorant. They cannot see the big picture because this ties in. It ties in with the agenda 2030, which is about 5-6 years away. All I'm saying in a nutshell, Stephen, please let the masses wake up.
So Maputle, I think we've been down this rabbit hole a little bit before, but I mean, who's part of the one world government? Is it Tsecho Fatso? Is that why she's here? Tsecho Fatso, are you an evil one world government person?
It's very odd.
I'm trying to instill some knowledge into her so that she knows. She's a future leader. She needs to know that.
Not if there's a one world government.
But in conclusion, Stephen, what I'm saying, we are being prepped for this one world order. World order, which is coming in 2030. That's all I'm going to say for now.
All right, Maputle, thank you. Maputle Tsecho Fatso is someone who phones in quite regularly. Usually on a Friday for some reason.
I think Maputle has some very interesting views. Hey, we'll have to wait until 2030 to see if this one world government that he's talking about actually takes place.
Michael on the line from Durban. Good morning. The Government of National Unity. Michael, hi. I don't know if from Durban maybe the world looks flat, maybe not.
Yes, hello.
Hello, Michael. You're on the radio. Go for it.
No, my comment is simple. ANC invited DA on the table, and then DA voted for ANC president. Now, ANC must return the favor, must give DA positions, because if they refuse the president and they refuse the president's ministerial post,
they must give DA positions because DA has already voted for ANC president. I think the DA made a huge mistake just by standing up and voting for ANC president without having reached any agreement, because now it shows that politicians sometimes in things they are doing there's no logic. But ANC must give DA positions. End of the story. They mustn't just make a fuss up because they are not in majority. They are 40%. It's not like they've won. They are just 40%. They must give DA positions what they want so that they can see difference. We know ANC for 30 years. We want to see the mix and the work that is done by DA where they will be different. They must give them positions. Now they're holding back as if they are big dollars. I don't know what they are doing. They invited them, give them. You invite some guests and then you teach them out. What is that?
Yeah, no, I hear you. All right, Michael on the line from eThekwini. Thank you. Interesting. Taki in Limpopo. Hello, Taki.
Yes, good morning, Stephen. And Tsekofatso, what's her name, by the way?
Yeah, Tsekofatso. Is your name Tsekofatso?
Yes, that's my name.
Oh, yes, good morning. Stephen, I want to talk about the Government of National Unity, but may I first start by the call for national dialogue? I think something of this nature has been called before. I don't think we never had anything of this nature. But what is critically important, Stephen, is what is the agenda for this, what you call dialogue? And also for me, who is calling for it? Because if it is called by this politically aligned organizations, for me, we should be careful that it should not be a platform for another political, bickering and chastising, by politicians. Perhaps if it was academics, one would really think it is going somewhere. But nevertheless, even we need a strong civil society in this country. You remember the days of Sipho Pitiana? We need such kind of voices, and which are not there at the moment. I think we can get somewhere if we can resuscitate those kinds of things. In particular, looking at the laws, particularly the electoral laws, where in this case, I think our country has moved forward. We need to vote for a president straight away, just like in other countries which have got matured democracy. But lastly, Stephen, on the GNU...
Just on that, Taki, if there was an election for president right now, who would win? Think about it, Taki. Just think it through for a second. Who would win, and has that person been president before? Who would win? Do you reckon? How do you know? Isn't there someone else? Maybe someone else? Maybe two former presidents might contest against him. Who knows?
You and I must just contest. But if we can quickly go to the GNU one, I think really... like the professor that you've interviewed this morning, it was clear. She's just indicated that this stalemate is really not so good for the country, and that we really need to move on, because it continues to send negative market sentiment, which are bad for the performance of the rand, the world market. And in fact, I think the DA it's in a winning streak, so to speak, because it stands to benefit. It has already benefited, so I don't think they should really push their luck further too far in this regard.
Thank you so much, Taki from Limpopo. Let's take a call from Robert from Germiston. Robert, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, the listener of SAFM? On my point is that the ANC have to share the power. Have to share those ministerial positions to the A and the IFP and the PA, because the ANC has failed already for 30 years in government. So they must not be greedy in holding those positions. They must share those positions, because once the PA withdraw and the IFP, the whole country will be destroyed, as we see in those. From when Mr. Zuma came to power.
Sure. All right, Robert, a strong view. I must say that line unfortunately dropping there. Tefo on the line from Velcom in the Free State. Tefo, hi.
Good morning, Tefo. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Tefo.
Let me quickly do my own disclaimer. Stephen, I'm an eternal optimist. I think things should be getting right. Remember, the coalition of GNU thing is a very new thing for us.
And I think we made strides in getting here. The electorate has spoken. But ordinarily, what is happening is within parties. Remember, people are assuming positions. Some are becoming hawkish. Some are like doves, and so it takes time. It's very energy tapping. It's sometimes frustrating. But we need to be upward looking as a country to say we got here because the electorate wants us to be here. And we need to work out something that will, obviously require time, require people with sober minds and efforts and energy to move us on. Look, this is a new for South Africa. It's a new thing. It has happened in other countries in Europe. And it takes time. It really does take time. Things will get better. I think we will get to a point. I'm actually excited that the differences are beginning to show up this early, rather than to have a situation where somewhere along the N1 or along the road we have a flat tire without having some spares for that. So
therefore, would you prefer a coalition along the N1 or the N3?
Maybe the N12, Stephen. But all I'm saying is it does take time, but it's important that these kind of marriages are being sorted out early, than to have a situation where everybody pulls apart and say, yes, now we get to divorce because we couldn't agree, and the countries, and we have done a lift-off. I would really be scared if that happens mid-air rather than what's happening on the ground. I think I'm perfectly happy with what's happening.
All right,
it's exciting. But I know people are getting frustrated and worried, but it's good that it must happen now than to happen when we are already on the trajectory.
No, sure. Tefo and welcome. Thank you. It's interesting. I mean, it's about people talking to each other, isn't it, Tsecho? I mean, it's about just getting things sort of sorted out and working before you actually get into government together.
And also understanding that a coalition means that there are going to be compromises that have to be made. I think that's something that both the DA and the ANC are, both struggling to actually understand. And hopefully, if they understand that they both need to make compromises, we could have a cabinet that we hopefully, get good things from. Hopefully.
Optimism, youthful. 10 minutes to 9.
Set in a gleaming new high-tech trauma center that deals with only the most serious cases, an emergency medical team must battle through the crucial first hour of care to save lives that hang in the balance. Each distinctive case is told with a thrilling intensity and nail-biting urgency as the team work on the very edge of the medically possible. This is a medical drama like no other. This is Critical. Mondays to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on S3. Starts 11 June. Channel your best drama with BBC Primetime only on S3. Open up.
Durban is open for business and investment. A large delegation from the United States of America, including captains of industry, business, investors, finances, decision makers, and high-profile leaders will attend the 2024 Resurgence Durban Conference to explore and maximize investment opportunities in Durban. Be part of the Resurgence Durban Conference taking place at the Durban ICC from the 17th to the 21st of July 2024. Durban is forging ahead with its plan of action that is aimed at boosting trade and investments within South Africa, the African continent, and the rest of the world. Businesses must register now to exhibit at the conference. Closing date is the 30th of June 2024. To register for the Resurgence Durban Conference and for more information, visit www.resurgenceconference.org.
22-time champions Toulouse want to rubber stamp their dominance with the 23rd title. But Bodo Begley have a massive point to prove that they didn't reach their first final by mistake. This is the top 14 final. Stade Toulousain collides with Union Bodo Begley this Friday 28 June at 9 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SAFM. guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. We've still got delays on the N14, the Krugersdorp Highway. For motorists that are moving up towards Pretoria, the crash in is just after the R55 Pretoria West exit. It's quite a heavy delay, a heavy backlog by today's fairly easy traffic standards. So Pretoria bound, just through that R55 exit, it all gets pretty heavy. We've been detailing a truck crash at Majuba Pass. The road is temporarily closed to recover that. So if you're moving from Folkers through to Newcastle on the N11, expect some delays there. Truck crash around the Escort area. We were told it was northbound, but it appears to be southbound. There's certainly a queue going southbound into that area. And if you're Durban bound up towards the airport, or if you're Durban side up towards the airport, collision before Gateway in the roadworks. This is about the third collision scene that we've had on this section today. So from Kwamashu up towards the Gateway exit, it all gets a bit heavy in there. And a reminder that roadworks get underway from today, properly, permanent basis between Hammersdale and Keyridge on the N3. I understand they'll start with full-time right lane closures. What that'll do is take you down to 2 lanes, and then all it requires is a stationary truck or a crash in the roadworks, and all of a sudden you're down to 1 lane or to no lane. So on top of the Ashburton Cato Ridge and Paradise Valley Spaghetti Junction construction zones, you've now got between those Keyridge to Hammersdale. So really Durban through to Pietermaritzburg will require extra time on top of the extra time you're already allowing from today. Cape Town looks alright. Just a heads up, if you're driving a little bit further today between Gordons Bay and Royals along Clarence Drive for a couple of hours between 10 a.m. and 12 noon, there'll be some extended waiting times, about 6 or 7 stop-go controls on that Clarence Drive since last Heritage Day, last September, since the big storm that washed a lot of it away. So they've got to move some of that machinery in that area, and that'll see that elongated closure today. So a couple of hours this morning, expect additional waits. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
Call us on 086 000 2032.
Just 6 minutes left for Tsecho Fatso Makola as part of our Youth Day takeover here. Tsecho Fatso, you're going to find that you breathe a sigh of relief when it's over.
Well, you seem a bit excited that I'm leaving.
I'm just excited it's the end of my week. I'm going on leave next week. Let's go to Katz and Mtata. Katz, hi, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. Good morning to the listeners as well. Stephen, I want to talk about the GNU to say, for the DA to demand key portfolios in government, it will have a wrong reflection of South Africa. South Africa is an African country, mainly by blacks. South Africa decolonized itself from any type of colonization. So if key positions can be given to a white party, that will have a wrong reflection, which will be to say black South Africans are unable to handle those portfolios. And yet there are other African countries, other African parties who have blacks who have raised their hand to say we can govern South Africa better than the ANC. So if the ANC is failing on those, they must be given to other blacks, not whites, because it will give a wrong reflection of the black South Africans in South Africa.
So would black members from the DA be okay?
No, because they are colonized. I'll put it that way.
I don't know if you can say that someone's colonized based on what they believe, Katz. I mean, let me put it to you another way. What's more important, the color of someone's skin or what they believe?
Stephen, the DA has, even though they claim to be South Africans, they have beliefs which are contrary to those which are held by the most black parties. Like, they support Israel, whereas Israel is an apartheid state. No?
Well, I don't know if they support Israel so much. So, Katz, I mean, what I'm trying to get to is, it seems to me, at least, Tsecho Fatso might well have a different idea, but or a different view. But you can say, I don't like the DA because I don't like them politically, and therefore they shouldn't have important positions. I mean, that's perfectly fine. I don't think anyone could argue with you on that. But to say, I don't think a white person can be deputy president, I don't know about that. I mean, you could say, I don't think Helen Zille can be deputy president because I disagree with her, or I don't like her ideology. But just on race, I don't know. Isn't that a bit complicated, Katz?
No, she can be a deputy president, But for key portfolios like security, which handle insecurity of our country, together with that is foreign affairs, I disagree. She cannot.
But why would you be able to trust, someone like Helen Zille in the position of deputy president if you're not willing to allow for her to be, a minister of any sort of department? What makes it different?
It's because there is a head above her. There is a president above her who will keep her in check.
And you don't think the same thing will happen if she's a minister?
She can be given a lesser a portfolio of lesser importance, but not those key ones.
All right, Katz and Mtata, it's an interesting view, controversial view, of course. Katz, thank you. Jacob on the line from Witbank, Emalachleni. Hi, Jacob.
Good morning, Stephen and Tsecho.
Yeah.
Yes, Tsecho. Sorry for pushing your name. Yeah, look, I have one question for Tsecho and maybe two suggestions for immediate conversation on Steve. Tsecho, what is your take on what happened at Nairobi when the youth took to the street there? Do you think the same system, having no leader, can work for us on South Africa when it comes to the point of fees must fall? And Stephen, I was listening to David Mashavelo's studio where he was interviewing the CEO of RAF, and then the lawyers came after that to also speak on their behalf. I think we deserve or we need an immediate conversation on that.
On what, Jacob?
On RAF, the need of lawyers to claim on behalf of
the Road Accident Fund.
The Road Accident Fund.
All right,
yes.
all right.
And then the last one is I saw on the Davy show where the blind people are staying. They were struggling there. I just forgot the department in charge for that organization. So I think also that I wanted to suggest that for immediate conversation. Okay. I will listen on the radio now because I'm driving. Thank you for your time.
Jacob, drive safely on the line from Emalachleni. Nairobi, very quickly, Tsecho Fatso.
Yeah, Jacob, thank you so much for that question. I think when you think of something like Fees Must Fall, we've had years of history with Fees Must Fall, and it's been very similar of what's also been taking place in Kenya in terms of the manner of approach of demonstrations that's been taking place there. Will that be as effective in South Africa? I don't necessarily think so. I don't necessarily think that members that are part of authority succumb to so much pressure, especially in scenarios like that where demonstrations are involved. I mean, we've had people protest to Parliament, people protest to various different scenarios, and nothing really changes then. But thanks so much for the question, Jacob.
All right, Tsecho Fatso, you enjoyed the last 3 hours?
Definitely.
You still want to do radio?
I'll be back.
It's the best thing in the world. Talk radio is the best thing in the world. I must just say, lots of people will say to you, it's boring or whatever. They have no idea what they're talking about. They're not listening properly. Talk radio is the best thing in the world, only because you have the best team. Mdu, Stanza, Zelma, and Melissa, thanks from them, from all of us. We will be back next week. I'm away for a whole week. Can you imagine, after the elections? I'll be back with you next Monday. Not the one coming, the one after that, but I will be back with you next Monday. Tsecho Fatso, it's been a real, dare I say, privilege. Thank you very much indeed. Good morning. You were there, SAFM, leading the conversation. Talking of privilege, Kathy Mokhohlana, you make my day. Good morning.
Stephen, can you explain why you're not taking me with you next week?
Because you don't want to come camping, Kathy Mokhohlana.
No, it reminds me too much of the struggle, Stephen. I'll let you have all the fun. Enjoy the bugs out there. Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
All right, our insurance will go out of their way to try and save you some money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand, SMS out to 30754. Now that's good news.
In our top stories, ongoing talks between the DA and the ANC and foundations call for a national dialogue to pave the way forward. Good morning. The Democratic Alliance has decided to continue its negotiations with the ANC over the formation of a government of national unity, despite disagreements